All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, John here. Tonight, joined with.
Matt Thomas, the Rambo Manian from Studio Redband on MacCast, and from
Salutations once again, fellow YouTubers. Your favorite cyber extraterrestrial on the site on the stream, wildmanbeyond.
And tonight, we're going to talk about Arnold.
Arnold, one of my idols. Yes, indeed, Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger himself, Mr. Universe himself.
Yeah.
Not a bigger universe than the one out in Mars. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arnold hasn't been to Mars in a long time.
Yeah, Wildman.
Get your ass back to Mars, Arnold.
Yeah, at least Wildman still has some memory. Like a Total Recall.
This guy's on Mars.
But yeah, just talking about, last time me and Matt got up, we talked about history of First Blood and covered some, history of things that didn't make it to the film. So tonight we're tackling Arnold and some films that, were unproduced, canceled Arnold films. And this is interesting because there's some films here which, again, were talked about at one point, never happened. Would have been interesting to see Arnold do some of these. And this is not even including the stuff on I Am Legend. Because there's so much information out there, and Matt knows what I'm talking about, because this is all thanks to Jack Craven, who provides this information. But, man, if you ever saw the information on I Am Legend that we have, you'd be like, whoa.
I think we did it at one time. We did like a portion of it, right? And it was like an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I think it really, I know Jack Craven breaks down the synopsis and the plot of, but there's different, I think versions of I'm Legend.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
this is that we'll get to that another night. But we got some interesting ones here. And I guess starting off, and again, these are unproduced projects, films that Arnold was going to make, and it just never happened. And the first one is Man to Man.
Yeah. This is pretty interesting, actually, this one. And just to touch on I Am Legend for a bit. Yeah, this is definitely something that we're going to have to do in multiple parts, because I Am Legend and there was another one too that were just crazy long. And we just got also new information on Sergeant Rock, and we had another Sergeant Rock.
Sergeant Rock, yeah, that was the comic
that
Shane Black was reading in Predator.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. And actually, he did send me that. And if you guys want to get to that tonight,
okay,
I'll find it. Okay, I found. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's long. It's a long one.
Okay, that's right. You have it, don't you?
Yeah, I got it on my email.
Let me see. Let me see.
I'll copy it to you. All right, I sent it to Wildman. Just the stuff about Sergeant Rock, because I already gave you. So we're doing stuff live here. We're sending stuff each other live here.
I don't see it. I got, like I say, I already got the notes of the movies Arnold was supposed to do, but I don't have the one. I got the Arnold.
I'm about to send to you
of the movies that he didn't do, but I don't have that one yet.
If you guys want, we can do this one and then take a intermission, and we'll send Wildman
yeah. What do you want to do? Hold on. I got so many documents up. I got to close some of the shit out. Okay. Let me close this out right here. One thing at a time.
Do you want me to read?
We're professionals here.
Do you want me to read the first one while you're closing out stuff?
Oh, Man to Man?
Yeah.
You're saying we'll do the first two, take a break, and come back to the other two? Do Man to Man, Commando 2, then we'll take a little intermission, and then we'll do Crusade and Sergeant Rock.
All right, sounds good. And we got some other stuff to mention
That's
down
right.
there too.
All right, so now we got our stuff together, folks.
Excellent.
All right.
Um,
Okay, so it's just here. Before Dolph Lundgren and Craig Baxley made awesome action classic that is I Come in Peace. Very amazing film. Dark Angel, very amazing. They were going to make this film. Randy Feldman, the guy who wrote the original script for Tango and Cash,
Like,
wrote the
man.
script. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's pretty awesome. With the motorcycle and all that. I guess that's for another night. But anyway, wrote a script titled Man to Man around the mid '80s, possibly 1986. That's a pretty good year. Which was about a repo guy who picks up an alien who is hitchhiking in Nevada desert and who asks him for help with finding his spaceship, which results in an action-packed adventure from the desert to Las Vegas. Yeah, this was meant to be sci-fi action comedy. What do you guys think about that?
Sounds
Oh
fun.
my God. I don't know why they canceled that. Having those two guys, Arnold and Dolph together, I mean, because they were kind of similar in a way because Dolph was a big guy, Arnold was a big guy. They both had that spiky hairdo. Dolph Lundgren rose to fame as playing a Russian in Rocky IV, and then Schwarzenegger went on to play a character that was similar with Red Heat. So it would have been great to see those two at that time finally together like that. A comedy. I mean, that would have been, oh my, a sci-fi, and Arnold playing the alien this time.
Yeah. I was about to ask,
could-
who would play the repo guy? Who would play the alien?
I bet you he would have had a great time with it too.
Yeah,
I
especially.
wonder what kind of like Arnold one-liners we would have got from that.
I had to get back to Mars.
I think they would have gotten Sly for that as the Repo Man.
well, if it was Dolph and Arnold, who would have been who? Like, but Dolph would have been the repo guy, or Arnold, or
Dolph as the Repo Man.
Arnold as the alien. Craig R. Baxley directing. That would have been awesome.
But you know what's speaking of Repo Man, of course, you talk about Repo Guy. I could see Emilio Estevez maybe make it kind of like a sequel to Repo Man because he's dealing with aliens.
Yeah.
Have Emilio Estevez and Arnold together.
Wasn't there an opera called Repo Man that was about futuristic surgery? And they made a movie with Jude Law.
I haven't seen
And
that.
Forrest Wick, yeah, but that wasn't a sequel. That was a Repo Man. Yeah, but Repo Man, it looked like looking at this story of Repo Man and aliens. That the movie, if you watch the movie The Repo Man, it dealt with aliens. So maybe they were planning to make this a sequel to Repo Man and having Arnold and Emilio Estevez together. That would have been great.
That could have been very cool.
I haven't seen the Repo Man with Emilio. I've
Oh
heard
my
about
God, you got to check the movie out. That is known as one of the most defiant movies of the 80s. You got to check that movie out.
it. All right.
Yeah, but what was his name? What's his name? I forgot his name. The guy who played Brain in Escape from New York. I forgot his name. He was Brain in Escape from New York.
Which guy was?
Harry Dean Stanton. Harry Dean Stanton. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Also from Alien.
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of Alien, Harry Dean Stanton, may he rest in peace. He was in one of the Avengers. He was in the first. He did a cameo in the first Avengers movie before he died.
Oh, really? Okay, I forgot about that.
He was a guy that I would have loved. He's like one of those guys who looks like you could just like sit out on the porch, have a beer, and listen to awesome stories all night talking to that guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes, I agree.
Imagine the things he's seen. Like wow. All right, okay. So since the film was going to be made in 1988, Joel Silver was going to produce it, and Greg R. Baxley was going to direct it. Right after he finished working on Action Jackson. Yeah, baby. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to play the alien in the film, but because he was too expensive to hire after Predator became a huge hit, the role was given to Dolph Lundgren. And it would be his first film after Red Scorpion. So yeah, Baxley and Lundgren were going to work together before they eventually made I Come in Peace 2 years later. And like I think. Oh, sorry to cut you off there.
No. Go ahead.
I think when we dig a little deeper into the Jack's notes. Once again, thank you very much again, Jack. Thank you. I think we're going to see a sequel to I Come in Peace.
Yeah,
I believe that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's about a girl, right? A girl this time. I think that's what it is. But yeah, I think we're going to see that a little later on down the line. And Jack, thank you very much again.
A female alien drug dealer.
I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly what it was because we talked about it a little bit. I remember, 2 years ago?
Yeah, we kind of brushed over it. We didn't really go in depth on it, but I do remember there was an I Come in Peace 2 mentioned somewhere that it was an idea for a sequel.
Because we have notes that are full, fleshed out all the way through projects, and we have notes that pertain to those projects, but they're very tiny, like a sentence or two, like synopsises. So I'm not sure which one we did, if we did the whole story or if we did the synopsis, but I remember we talked about this one in the same episode.
Yeah.
But Red Scorpion, how about that? I was a big fan of Red Scorpion. I don't know. Are you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of showed what if Ivan Drago was a good guy? He wasn't actually playing Ivan Drago, but he played it. He played a Russian character. Yeah. It was kind of like, and that was an interesting movie to come out in the '80s because you had the Russians being the enemy. And I remember Dolph had an interview that that movie was about the end of the Cold War and how the Russians and the Americans were coming together as one, and in the beginning his character was kind of the bad guy. Then he kind of redeems himself and he becomes the hero. I think that was the message. I think that was the message of the movie. Because it came out in 1989. Around that time, the Cold War was coming to an end, and there were the Russians were getting along with the Americans, and I think that movie was trying to be a metaphor for that.
Imagine a sequel to that today. Oh, that would be interesting. I'd watch it. I'd go see it. Definitely.
Yeah, and it would have been interesting to see, Craig R. Baxley do that around that time between Red Scorpion and I Come in Peace. Because even in '89, Arnold didn't have anything that came out that year. I mean, in '88, he had Twins and Red Heat. Red Heat, yeah.
He came out with Red Heat the same year.
I finally just saw Raw Deal a couple of...
Oh my God, that is the most underrated Arnold movie. Shot in Chicago. I'm telling you. Okay, yeah, Chicago is getting a lot of respect. It was underrated from filming a lot of film productions for years. Of course, it was known for the Blues Brothers, the most popular. But now with these shows, the Chicago shows, Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, it's the perfect time to finally represent Chicago and to have Arnold do a movie before all that, 2 movies before that. I mean, it's awesome. Of course, Chuck Norris did movie Code of Silence. He shot that one there. Of course, that's Above the Law, Steven Seagal's first movie. They shot The Fugitive there. I mean, yeah, Raw Deal. It was kind of like Schwarzenegger's take on Scarface because it kind of had that feel of Scarface in a way, and Robert Davi was in it, and it had the guy who played Sosa from Scarface. He was one of the henchmen in that movie. I really liked the style, and it was a different role for Arnold because he played. Despite the fact that it was an action movie, it was also like a gangster drama, a mob drama, which I liked.
And it had a really weird feel too. Like you're always like when you think of Arnold, you more think of like the McTiernan or Cameron or those type of directors that look to an Arnold film. So when you watch a film like Raw Deal, especially after I've seen parts of it when I was young, but after all these years seeing it and you see that different camera style, different film grade and how it looks and everything.
Wow. say in that. He was so cool. He was walking around the studio with his hair all slicked back like Gordon Gekko. Arnold invented that dude way before Gordon Gekko. Arnold should have more respect. Should have more respect than this Michael Douglas. They should give more props to Arnold than Michael Douglas for that hairdo.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Raw Deal, so I have the film. I just haven't. That's one of those Arnold films which I haven't seen yet. Oddly, yeah.
Put down the list for movies to review.
Red Heat, man. Red Heat was good too. Like that, the bus scene there, the showdown.
Yeah.
Oh. And it has like on the top of the bus it says Montreal, and I was always like, yeah.
Going back to Raw Deal, it has one of the classic drive-by shootouts in history.
Yeah.
He puts the tape. He shoots the windshield. He takes it off. He puts in the tape of the Rolling Stone Satisfaction. He drives in doing the drive. Oh my God. That scene made the movie. That scene made the movie. If it wasn't, I don't think that movie would be remembered right now.
Yeah, that was a great scene. And what was that? The Indiana Jones chick there, Spielberg's ex.
Oh, I'm trying to think of her name without looking her up. Kate Capshaw. Is that?
No, she wasn't in that. She wasn't in that. They're still married. She wasn't in that.
Oh, she wasn't.
Who was the girl in that?
Her name was Catherine Harold. Yeah, she was good looking. I wonder what happened to her, Catherine Harold.
Yeah, I was hoping that her and Arnold, get along better. But then again, no, Arnold had a family. He had a family, right, in that one?
And I like the end, how they kind of paid a little homage to Casablanca.
Yeah.
Catherine Harold hasn't done anything since like 2011.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, she was a good looking woman. Yeah, I liked her performance because she even said in an interview that this movie was kind of like a throwback to the '40s gangster movies, but with a little bit of a '80s mix with Arnold in the like a mixture of a '40s gangster movie with '80s action, which I liked.
I love the women from that era too, because it's like back when women still had that power where they didn't have to be nude to be sexy, where that stigma comes in where, oh, you have to be nude or else you have to do all these sleazy kind of scenes or else you're not going to make it anywhere. No one's going to want to notice you and all that bullshit. It just goes back to show you like the old classics, like when women were perceived as women and were put on that beautiful pedestal, we don't have that anymore.
Absolutely. They should go back and learn the history. Take that, Snowflakes. Learn your fucking history on that.
Oh, boy. But there's a little bit more here on this one.
Yeah.
Man to Man.
All right. It says, but unfortunately, even though everybody were ready for filming to start in Las Vegas, they were given permission to use any locations that they wanted for the film. That must have been awesome because Vegas, wow, there's so many awesome spots in Vegas. And $5 million were spent on pre-production. Silver and Baxley got into an argument over some things, and they also couldn't decide who was going to play the repo agent in the film. And Lundgren also wasn't considered to be a big enough star, so the movie was canceled. And then it goes in to say that Baxley later said it was too bad that the movie was never made because the script was great and hilarious, and even he added some more action scenes in it. Some of the stuff in Feldman's original Tango and Cash script and I Come in Peace were originally in Man-to-Man script. Example, that car chase scene in I Come in Peace, where the cars drive through the building, that was one of the sequences Baxley originally added in Man-to-Man. That script, the car chase took place on casino streets of Las Vegas.
Interesting.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They can still do that. They can still do that movie. They can still do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys' take on Man to Man here? Like,
I think it's really interesting. Personally, I would like to see it with both of them in it.
Yeah.
Arnold and Dolph.
Yeah, have Dolph. I mean, who would you have play the Reaper Man? Probably.
Definitely Dolph, because Arnold. It says here that Arnold was supposed to play the alien, so Dolph definitely. I mean, they haven't. Arnold and Dolph didn't team up since never teamed up until the Expendables. So it would have been a great vehicle for both those guys instead of just Arnold and Sly together. I mean, having Arnold and Dolph, like I said, because they were kind of similar with their physicality because Dolph was a big guy, Arnold was a big guy. You know, they were both known for having that that shaped, spiky hair. And like I mentioned, Dolph became famous for playing a Russian guy, but he wasn't. But he was originally Swedish, and Arnold went on to play a character like Ivan Drago in Red. He even played a character named Drago. So what does that tell you?
I wonder though, because it makes me think if we got in this film man to man, say Dolph and Arnold did it, would we have gotten I Come in Peace?
That's
You
true.
know what? You're onto something here. I'm about to say why. It would have been different for I Come in Peace. You have Arnold play the cop and have Dolph play the alien.
Yeah.
You could do a switch like that.
You go in pieces, asshole.
Maybe I Come in Peace would have been put off, maybe to like 92 or 93, maybe. But then again, Arnold did Last Action Hero 93.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to switch that one up for Last Action Hero.
You know what? This whole talk about Arnold and Dolph. Can you imagine if Dolph ended up playing the T-1000 and T2 besides Robert Patrick?
It would have been interesting.
On that, I'm gonna throw in, because I know I'm gonna forget about it. That the originally I was reading an article with this guy who was working on T2, and he said that originally the T-1000 was of alien origin, and they don't address it in the film, but that is the case. So like when you go to Genesis,
stupid. That would have been stupid.
But apparently the T-1000 was an alien.
That would have been stupid. I'm an alien, but still, come on. That would have been stupid. It's about machines. It's kind of like the same stuff you were having with these movies now, like Genesis or fucking Dark Fate.
Yeah. I guess they couldn't think of an idea of why the liquid metal would be liquid metal. You know, I guess I couldn't think of why.
That's what Skynet is. He's a high supercomputer. That's what Skynet is. He's a different type of machine. He's a supercomputer. That's what Skynet is.
Huh.
Could you imagine if they would have done one of those Hollywood trilogies? Like, I forget what other one it's on the tip of my tongue what else they did that with. But like Michael Douglas and Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile and then War of the Roses. You know how they did those? They used to do those trilogies where they would take two actors and put them in a whole bunch of movies together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love those three together. It would have been cool if those three did more movies together. They were supposed to do a third movie in Romancing a Stone and Jewel of the Nile. Yeah. But it never happened.
But can you imagine like Dolph and Brian Ben working on Man to Man? Like Brian Ben as the
That would have been
Man?
interesting. Brian Ben be the Reaper Man. Yeah, you could turn around. Yeah, you could done something like that, or it would have been interesting. I mean, Man to Man. That would have been cool to see Dolph and Arnold back in the day. That's what I'm saying. I wonder if they would have made that. And I know Arnold was probably expensive at the time. It's like, man, we probably wouldn't have had I Come in Peace, or if anything, it may have been that could have been pushed. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to think about. Because I love I Come in Peace, and Kara Baxley is a great director.
Yeah, that's a classic movie. Like that's a movie that never gets its due. You know?
Action Jackson.
It was a unique story. I mean, an alien drug deal. I mean, come on. Well, I mean, it was unique. I mean, it kind of reminded me of The Hidden in a way.
Yeah.
Because you have this alien who kind of blended in with human form, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell they took the story of The Hidden from Terminator. Speaking of Arnold.
Yeah, The Hidden's a great one, too.
Oh, my God. That movie's a classic, man.
But now we're getting to some information about Commando 2.
Ah, my baby. Yes,
and
yes.
And it's not a lot, but we have a little bit here.
Yeah, this is another one I wish I would have made because this one's really amazing. So as well, Schwarzenegger was busy filming Total Recall in 1989. Stephen E. D'Souza and Frank Darabont wrote the script for Commando 2. And no, just to mention, Die Hard was never meant to be Commando sequel. It's just a fan-made bullshit myth.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. They were planning to do it. I don't believe it.
Cause when you get into this script, it has like this section where like that stuff at the building is only like it's mainly Arnold working on the building, and then there's a little part in the middle where he takes out the building, like where you have all the action in the building, and then right after that, boom, you're sent on a whole other ride. He's hanging off of helicopters with fucking the other helicopters underneath him trying to cut his legs off. He's like, arg, 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 arg. He's like, he gets married. He gets married as a, he gets dressed up like a woman and gets married to get in the base, and then he's on this big truck, and it has those four guns.
Are you kidding me? You can tell they took that scene and put it in Junior. Are you kidding me?
I know it's in there.
Well, you've read the script, right, Matt, for Commando 2? I mean,
I haven't read it yet. I need to check it out.
But what are some of the lines? You mentioned like some of the lines in the script for Commando 2.
My two favorite lines in that movie. The first one is he's in a club, and the bouncer comes up to him and tells him to get out. The guy's like, get out. And Arnold's like, I'm not going anywhere. And the guy's like, tries to fight him, and Arnold picks him up and throws him through the window, and he throws him out into the waiting line where all the people are waiting to get into the club. And he looks out the window down at the guy, and he goes, I don't know why they call you guys bouncers. You don't bounce.
Oh my God! Yes, I would have loved to have seen this because you know how I love Commando. It's my baby. It was the first movie that introduced me to Arnold. It's my favorite Arnold movie.
We're gonna get that out to you.
Oh yes, because like I said, all this talk, like I mentioned before, this is the movie that made Arnold an action star. It wasn't just Terminator. They always bring up Terminator this, Terminator that. It wasn't just Terminator. It was Commando because, like I say, the first Terminator, he was a bad guy. And then in 1985, Rambo First Blood Part 2 came out, and they could create this new breed of action hero, and they were copying off it, and they wanted to let's get that. They need to make a movie with a big muscle guy like Stallone. Hey, let's get the big guy from Terminator, Arnold, and then they did Commando, and then that movie became a hit, and that made him an action star, and they created the rivalry with him and Sly.
Yeah,
it's like one of these movies where there should have been three of them, at least three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least.
It would
like
be cool.
Two good ones and a bad one at least.
Yeah.
My other favorite line from that is they have a big court scene, and
that's from Commando 2, right? The script.
Yeah. And the girl that's in the first Commando comes back as his lawyer, and
Don Chung.
Yeah, and then there's this big fight in there, and then they break out onto this highway, and Arnold's fighting this guy on an extended highway, like it's like a highway that's off the ground, and they're fighting in the middle of the traffic, in the middle of the night, because they go to night court, and there's cars just going by them, and the guy goes to handcuff Arnold, and Arnold grabs the guy's hand and throws the handcuff on an oncoming truck, and the guy's arm like rips off.
Oh.
Sailing down the road, and the guy looks down at his stump, and then he looks over at Arnold, and he's all surprised, and Arnold just shrugs his shoulders and says, "What? No applause." It's so good.
Oh my God, I would love to have seen this. I mean, because he can still do it because with his age. Because you look at Rambo: Last Blood, the way how that character, how Rambo kind of started settling down, having a daughter. You can tell, because you know how Sly likes to recycle ideas from different movies. Even you could tell he took that from Commando, because in the beginning of the first film, he was retired. He had a daughter. He was living a peaceful life. Then some crazy shit happened, and then he goes back into action. I mean, you mentioned the club scene. Like I said, every time I watched Rambo Last Blood, it kind of mirrored what Schwarzenegger did for Commando. Like, he was retired, and something happens.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, how Alyssa Milano was in a coma. And then he goes out and kicks him. It was like that Last Blood kind of mirrored what John Matrix would have done.
Yeah, and I think what's cool about this one too is that the world not only is the same, but the writing feels like the world is the same. Like, it feels exactly how the first one is written. Like, I don't want to say it's written, but like when you watch a character's performance and how the scenes are all broken down and layout, when you're reading a script, you can kind of see that. You can kind of gauge that. And this felt very much the same way. And they go back and they do the whole Galleria thing all over again. They do a lot of these things, but they also take it to these new heights that are just insane. Like, if you think Rambo with the 50 cal is crazy, Matrix with 650 cals at the same time. That's a fucking. And he's getting shot, and he's still going, and he's in the burning down. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Oh my God! He can still do that. Stop. He needs to stop. He needs to stop agreeing to these fucking shitty ass scripts and do this.
Yeah.
He still do it. Stop buying into the bullshit, Arnold. You can still do it, just like Sly is doing. Sly is still giving Epper with the Samaritan. You can still do it, Arnold.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Get your ass out of the jacuzzi with your goat.
Especially this one, because it's not as it sounds like it's like crazy, impossible action, but if they stuck to the script, it's not actually that impossible for an older guy to do. He could probably do all his own stunts. Anyway, so it says here that the story, there is spoilers in this one. The story of the script takes place a few years after the first film, when Matrix finds out how his old friend General Kirby from the first film was killed in South America by drug dealers. Yeah, he decides to accept the job as security instructor for the company that hired Kirby to stop the drug dealers from bringing in the drugs to the U.S. Soon, however, Matrix finds out that the people he is working for are connected to the drug dealers, and they are smuggling weapons to them. I just want to say that head guy that is kind of like the shapeshifter character in a way that you think he's a good guy, but he's really a bad guy, and he's working with Matrix. They should have brought in Dawson from The Running Man.
Richard Dawson?
Yeah, he would have been perfect. Like, the whole time I was reading that, I was thinking of Richard Dawson. And this here is a little bit more accelerated. It takes you a little bit to get to that point.
Like a weasel type?
Yeah. He's kind of like a Charles Napier. You can see that kind of...
Murdoch. Oh, yeah.
So it says here that the company people try to kill Matrix, and they set him up for a crime that he didn't commit. So he is forced to work alone, once again, against all the bad guys. During his run from police, his daughter Jenny gets wounded and is put in the hospital. That's a very powerful scene because you really think she's dead.
Wow.
And then they do that little Terry Crews Expendables thing in there. It says, and of course, this pissed off Matrix, who starts all-out war against everyone who are involved. That's another thing too, where you see him in the hospital, and then he goes out, and you just know that someone's gonna die.
It's gonna be a bad day.
Like I said, it was like there were similarities to the scene in Last Blood where where the girl dies.
Yeah, that's so sad, that scene.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of mirrors the scene that you're talking about. She doesn't die, but he that fills it with so much rage that something's going to go down. Someone is going to get their ass head handed to them.
I remember reading that and I had to put it down. I was like, oh man, I can't believe they went there. It was like in the middle of the night. I had to go outside and smoke a cigarette and then come back in and read again. And I was like, okay, she's not dead yet. But, all right. So what follows is this pisses off Matrix, who starts an all-out war against everyone who is involved. What follows is several fun action sequences which take place in LA and include parts like Matrix ripping a guy's arm off, a jacket building full of bad guys by himself, helicopter chase during which Matrix hangs on one chopper while others are trying to cut him down. But yeah, like literally they're trying to like cut his legs off the rotors of the helicopter that's underneath him. And then Matrix throwing one of the main villains into the rollerblades of the chopper, cutting him to pieces. And then is in this shocking twist, Matrix realized that General Kirby is alive and is actually working with villains. I just want to say, actually I'll save it for the next paragraph. But is there anything you guys want to throw in there?
That would have been a cool action sequence. I wonder, how like he's hanging onto the helicopter and there's another one trying to take him out below him. That would have been interesting to shot.
And he's in the air for a long time.
Oh, I would have loved to have seen this. Yeah, I mean, that scene where you talk about he ripped the guy's arm off, and in the scene where he jumps. Are you speaking of the drug dealers? Like going back to Last Blood? No, against the drug cartels. I like that. Like I said, it kind of Last Blood kind of was like a mirror of what they can do with this. Arnold can still do it,
and it's hard because they get him to design it, right? Because he's opened his own, defense company now that he's gotten publicity from the events of the first film. So he designs all that shit. So it's like he's going up against his own designs, and he has to work against the flaws that are in the system that he created to be perfect in order to get out of that bundle. And you think that that's where the movie's going to end, but that's only halfway through. Then you're thrown through this whole other loop that takes him through all these adventures and stuff.
Do you think Markel Lester, do you think he would have came back to direct, or do you think he would have handed it off to someone else?
Yeah, I truly believe he would have came back for it because he really had a blast making this movie. It would have been great if James Horner would have come back. That classic music, and everything. But it's a shame that he passed away. But it would. He would. I would have seen them both come back, and I would definitely see maybe not at the end credit, but maybe in the TV spots, the song "Fight for Love" from Power Station come back.
Yeah, well, there is a song. There is a song, and I can't remember what the name of the song is. It's by Genesis, and I remember like when I was reading the script, it said that there was this Genesis song, and I looked up the song and I listened to it while I was reading the scene, and I can't remember what the name of the song is. I'll find it though. But it really fit. It really fit. And it has like that classic opening, like the movie opens up with like the ending of the last one on the beach.
Yeah.
And it's like, no way or no deal or whatever.
No chance.
Yeah. And then it goes into this Genesis song. This really crazy avant-garde Genesis song.
That would have been cool.
Oh, sorry.
I says it would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been.
Remember the lyrics to that song? The song that Genesis was used. Jen, do you remember the lyrics? Or you remember how it sounded like?
Hold on, let me look it up. Where do I gotta go to look it up? Is my Commando on here? Is Commando? If we were lucky, Commando's here. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. I'm just gonna.
I'm trying to think of that Genesis song now.
I'm gonna look for that damn Genesis song.
It's not. I'm sure it's not Land of Confusion, right? It's not that song.
No. It's a song I never heard before.
That's all.
Like I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't even know this song was out there.
Was that song in American Psycho? where he's with those two girls. Don't just stare at it, eat it.
Oh God.
You like Phil Collins? What if John Matrix said that to a bad guy before he killed him? Do you like Phil Collins?
Yeah, a little bit awesome.
Here we go.
That would be awesome.
Hold on, I gotta open it. It might slow down my my Skype here.
Well, what's the name of it?
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up right here. Opening title sequence. Best read while listening to The Brazilian by Genesis. So if you have the Invisible Touch album, toss it on and crank up the volume. Credits roll as a helicopter. Yeah, okay. That's the scene. I don't know if yeah. But it's a great song.
Cool.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna cue it on my YouTube. Not for now, because I don't know if we're allowed to play music on YouTube. But I'll send you guys the song.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
We're on it.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta turn it on just in case. I don't want you to get a copyright strike. Okay.
What you okay? What you guys? Would you guys find something? What?
I found the song from the Commando 2 intro. So I'm gonna send it to you and John, and so that you guys can
Get on YouTube. I just typed on YouTube. It's there.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube.
There you go.
All right. I'll check it out a little bit.
Okay, so it says here that the final part of the script takes place in South America, where Matrix attacks the drug lord's fields and mansion belonging to the drug lord, and then he and his army of buddies set the drug fields on fire, burning a hell of a lot of bad guys alive and crashing their airplane into the mansion where Matrix has his final showdown against Kirby. And what I like what they did with that, which I was going to say before, was that, Matrix could take Kirby any day of the week, right?
Right.
But it's just kind of like, like the end of Beverly Hills Cop where Axel gets shot.
Yeah.
And he's still got to take on Maitland. Like, imagine that kind of thing, but if like Arnold was all shot to bits and he still had to have a fist fight against someone who was still all there.
Yeah, kind of like how Rambo in Last Blood. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the whole place like burning down around them. Yeah. It's very interesting because like that MacGuffin I don't want to say MacGuffin, that twist of having Kirby still alive was very, very well played out. Like,
interesting making Kirby the bad guy, because Kirby was like was to John Matrix what Trevor was to Rambo. If you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just Kirby being in the movie one, it's kind of like Rambo 3. You come in and ask him to go on the mission, and then shit hits the fan. But he comes back.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he comes back and he his chopper lands on all of Matrix's flowers that he just put in the ground. And they get out and they walk over to Matrix, and Alyssa Milano comes out and she's like, my dad, it took my dad forever to plant those flowers out there. So it's kind of like a little clue, like a little clue that something's going to happen later on. But I honestly did not see that coming at all. That was like a really good twist because I actually thought Kirby was dead.
And you know what? There is a deleted scene in Commando where Kirby explains to how dangerous Matrix is, kind of similar to Trotman explaining everybody how dangerous Rambo is in First Blood, because if you watch that deleted scene in Commando at the shopping mall where Kirby explained how he's a hurricane, you can't stop him, and there are some lines that kind of similar to the scene in First Blood with Trotman. If you go back and watch it.
I gotta check that out because I haven't watched any of the. You know what's weird is I got what do you call that? Like a 4K TV. And right before I got mine, I was over at my sister's house checking out hers, and I watched Commando, and it was so weird to see a movie that I've seen like 100 times on print, what it looked like in 4K. You know, sometimes you watch something in 4K, it doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that plane scene when they get into the plane to go to Valverde. I was like, that's the fakest looking thing ever. But like,
yeah, because it looks so different. The first time I saw something like that was when I watched the Avengers. Like, is this a TV movie? What is going on here?
Yeah, but it's so weird because it's like back in the day, it looks so much better. I find that like 4K, a lot of the time it takes the magic out of the print.
Yeah, that's
like
what I've heard.
That magic. Yeah. Oh. All right, so to finish off Commando, it says, great and incredibly fun action script, which I can't believe was never made, and yet something like Kindergarten Cop did. I don't even know why they never made Commando 2. I'm with you on that, Jack. I have no idea because
I'm way on you on that, man. I mean, look at it. You think look at. You can tell Taken was inspired by Commando. It did. Yeah. Taken 2 and Taken 3. That shit didn't go anywhere. This Commando 2, that can go everywhere. I'm telling you, they should have done it.
Yeah, they should have done it like maybe right after Red Heat or something. And I know he may be busy.
Back in 1989, because Arnold wasn't doing anything. I guess he was working on Total Recall at that time, but he could have done something in '89. He should have done that.
Yeah, I know.
That would have been a perfect move for him to end the year off with a bang.
Yeah, it seems like
it's like we're. Oh, sorry.
I know, like Jack here. I don't know if he's a fan of Kindergarten Cop. I don't know from what I gather, but I still love Kindergarten Cop. I mean, it's a classic. But yeah, definitely Commando 2 should have been made. I would love to have seen at least one sequel. You know, that's one of those...
Same here. I mean, because Commando was my baby, no doubt.
Like when I got this one, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna read it right away. I'm gonna save it, kind of thing. And then I started reading it, and it had this amazing, like after that whole, the thing that happened with the Genesis and the escape guy and the Kirby death. And there's a really great scene where it talks about Arnold coming to America, how like when he got here, the only song he heard was this one song and it changed his life. Kind of like that Yakety Yak scene in
Twins. Yeah.
When he
Yakety Yak, don't go back.
But there's a scene where like he takes his daughter to the record store in the Galleria, which we were talking about earlier. It's weird because the Galleria, it was in Commando. It's in this one, Commando 2. It's in Terminator.
Exactly.
Deleted scene from Last Action Hero.
Was it Chopping Mall too? No.
Sorry.
Arnold's got a thing for malls. I tell you, he's got it turns him on.
It's weird because it's like Valverde, where Commando takes place. It takes place also, in Die Hard, and what's the other movie? There's another movie it takes place in. This one, Die Hard, and something else. And it's like, does that mean everything's related? Is Street Fighter related to Die Hard? And is that really... It's Predator. Predator takes place in the same place, Valverde. So it's like,
What's Valverde?
Anyway, it's like that little jungle island. But which is weird because D'Souza's even come out and said that these films are all related because of that. They all take place in the same place, and I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. But anyway, to get back to it, like he takes this record store, and then there's this kid who's trying to mac on his daughter. But the kid, like a drug dealer, the kid opens his jacket. He has all these drugs. And he's like, yeah, I'll come over tonight. I'll come see you, man. And she's like, you really shouldn't. My dad's going to be there. He's like, oh, I could just see your dad in a nice cardigan, whatever. And then Arnold grabs him and picks him up. Fucking turns him upside down and like empties all the drugs out for the cops. The cops, like the cops that he beats up in the first one in the mall when he takes the phone booth out.
Yeah.
They show up. They show up because they see him in the record store. They're like, "Oh my god, it's that guy."
A gigantic motherfucker.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
The drug dealer, he like shakes all the drugs on him. It's like, or the other kid says like, "Oh, I can see him in a sweater vest," and then he looks down at the kid and he says, "You should see me in a cardigan."
Oh man, it would have been fun.
Yeah, and Alyssa Milano, she had some amazing scenes in this one, like amazing scenes. Like it really resonates with family. Like, if you lose your wife and your kid grew, how like in the first one he's teaching her how to be a woman. In that intro he's teaching her how to be an adult. That's why in the ending she can escape. And this one it feels like she's returning that favor back to him. So it's very beautiful. Then when her life hangs in the balance, you're like, oh man, it's Matrix time.
It's about to go down.
Yeah, exactly. That Arnold can still do that even for his age because he kind of starting to prove himself as an actor now. I can see that scene where she's in a coma and he has this emotional scene that can work because he's slowly trying to prove he's an actor. Because the stuff he did recently, like Aftermath and Maggie, and if he can mix it with that, this would be an intense, badass movie.
Yeah,
even more intense than that.
Yeah, because we don't need no more Terminator films where he's Corona Carl talking about drapery and curtains and butterflies.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do.
It's so cool because there's only a handful of movies that really did that in the 80s, and this would have been one of them that did. Another one that really shows you that power is like Rambo 2 when Ko dies, because here if he completes the mission, he gets a pardon, he gets to go back to America, he falls in love when he thinks it's impossible to fall in. They even go into why he can't fall in love, and it's pretty disgusting. To think that one guy has to have that kind of weight on his brain. But anyway, he falls in love, he's got that one shot, and then they take it all from him, and they kill her. And then when he stands up in the rain, and he looks off, and he sets out, it's like, it's that moment. There's very few films that have that kind of heavy moment where okay, that's it. You push this guy too far, now you're fucked. And now he doesn't care if he's going to die. He's coming at you. So,
man,
it's very cool. Very cool. I wish they would have made it. I really wish they would have made it.
Man, definitely. I mean, like I said, that movie is my baby. I grew up with it. He can still do it. I believe he can still do it. I mean, Stallone, he's still doing effort. Arnold can still do it. I'm telling you, he needs to stop. He needs to say to these Hollywood pussies, just like he said in the movie, no, get out. No, don't do that. I'm not, get out.
Yeah. Oh, man. Alrighty. Oh, you need a second, Matt?
No.
Oh. Wait for Matt to get back.
No problem.
I'm here.
Okay. Oh, what are you eating?
Pear.
Pear?
I was stealing my wife's food. I was foraging.
All right. Continuing on to Arnold's Crusade, which this one's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. What you described, I'm looking forward to talking about it.
As Theo Vaughn would say, this one goes into the dark arts.
Yeah. Verhoeven style. Yeah. This was supposed to be, for people who don't know, Crusade was going to be like Arnold's epic on the level of Braveheart, directed by Paul Verhoeven. Ultra violent.
This is
movie.
a dream project.
A dream that never came true, but should have.
Yeah.
It's like everything you ever need to know about that movie. All you need to say is Paul Verhoeven and Arnold. That's it.
Imagine, how would you, in a sentence, describe this movie? I know we're about to get into it, but like this is
like what you would call like, you know, it's weird because when you get to Paul Verhoeven, you know, it's like you get all these great synopsises for films, but once you watch that film, you know that the film was out of the box months before. You know, that there was a way bigger vision. You know, it's like you watch RoboCop and it's like, damn, you know, like there's so much going on without really even having to say that there's so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this
Paul Verhoeven, he doesn't give a shit. He even said he loves violence, but violence in movies, not. He's very fascinated with violence. He doesn't sway away. He doesn't give a shit, which is what we need now. You know, all this snowflake SJW bullshit kind of goes back to Danny Glover's Seeing in Predator 2, and you know Paul Verhoeven. I would take you're taking my ball and shove it down my throat or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird too because like the other day John and I were talking about doing maybe some Tubi reviews, like what do you call that? The commentaries,
Right.
and one of the I think we were talking about Ernest, but one of those in there that like one of those I started watching it recently and it was so crazy that I couldn't watch it was a Paul Verhoeven French film called Elle. I'm French, so I was like, what the hell? I'll watch it, you know. I love Verhoeven, and it was so intense that I had to. I watched like 10 minutes of it, and I was like, okay, I had to like skip through. And it kind of hit me on the same level as that other French film. I think it was a French film, Irreversible. Have you ever seen that with Monica Bellucci?
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Insanely hard movie to watch. Beautiful movie in the way that the whole thing is done in reverse. So it's like you're watching a movie in reverse, but hard to watch because of the subject matter. I feel like this would have been one of those kind of films. But like that film Elle, I watched a couple of minutes of it and I was like, I couldn't bring myself to. It was just too much for me to take. So when you mention Paul Verhoeven, you know, Paul Verhoeven is Paul Verhoeven. He's going to do what Paul Verhoeven does, right?
Yeah.
So when you throw that in here with Arnold, and you kind of know, okay, well, they did Total Recall, and how he worked with Basic Instinct. One of the most beautifully shot movies I think I've ever seen.
Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite mystery movie.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good one.
And this was supposed to be Arnold's war epic.
Yeah. And it makes you really think what he would have done for some of the shots that we're going to talk about, because if you, like, for example, there's an amazing scene in Basic Instinct where someone dies and Michael Douglas gets to the scene of the crime and the music is very focused and everything's very focused and you're going along with him. I guess a better example of that would be, the scene where they're bringing Catherine Trammell to the police station. They got her in the car and they're driving along those cliffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like apparently Paul Verhoeven timed out everything to a T so that the sun would focus a certain way in the background through both windows of the car and give it a different lighting. So it makes it makes you, and like, that was to a T. Like, he timed it out to a T. So it makes you wonder, like, something like this, which is outdoors and big and in the elements, how he would have incorporated, like, positions of the sun or the stars, or, just how he would have tried to pick up things in different. Because a lot of people don't give him credit for that, but he's he's amazingly great at visual presentation.
Yeah.
You know,
And
don't forgot to mention. I mentioned this movie, Flesh and Blood, with Rutger Hauer. That was like an epic medieval. It was like the first medieval movie that really showed the violence, hardcore violence of that war. Because before that, it was just them fight, them throwing the swords, not just hitting him, but not showing the violence. But this Verhoeven really was the first one to ever show that type of battle.
Yeah, and there's also a Crusade joke. I don't know, a lot of people know. I only noticed it, like, okay, that movie, The Last Stand.
Yes.
The first time I saw that movie, I didn't like it at all. A couple of weeks ago, I should say, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch this movie again. I was having a couple of drinks and I got into it. And there's a scene where him and Louise Guzman are at Johnny Knoxville's place, and Louise Guzman pulls out the Conan sword.
Right.
And then Arnold makes a joke like, "Oh, you about to embark on your crusade," or something like that. And then he makes a Conan joke at him, and I was like, "Oh, that was so cool."
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I described this movie, it would be like Flesh and Blood meets Conan meets Braveheart.
Yeah,
you know, it's like Braveheart, but more. If Arnold did Braveheart, it would be more extreme and more badass. That's what I see, when you're doing an epic movie with someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's an action star, you're gonna get a whole. That's when the bodies really hit the floor.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes you wonder too, like how Verhoeven would have played it, because there's an old foreign film. I don't remember what it was called. I think it was called Inferno 1919 or something like that. And it was, I think, the first horror movie ever made. And it was about Dante's Inferno. And then they had that amazing anime Dante's Inferno movie. And I can kind of see this fitting into that kind of realm, like how it's presented, because it shows you that those times were, even though they were very romantic to ponder in history, that those times were very scary for the people. You know, it was not a nice time to be around.
Yeah.
You know, it really makes you appreciate now, you know, like the time that we're growing up in. And this one's we're I'm not sure if the notes are the same as the other notes that we did for this movie.
If they did this movie with Arnold, I believe it would have gotten more praise than Braveheart. It would have even gotten both Verhoeven, even fucking Arnold, an Oscar.
Yeah.
Imagine
what's scary for me about this one, I'm not sure if these are the same notes that we went through the last time we talked about this movie, but there are really haunting elements to this script. And usually, you know, you see that, okay, they're going to go for the extreme, and usually when the movie comes out, it's not there. But you know that with Paul Verhoeven, he's going to go for those absolutely horrifying, you know, he's not going to pussy down. He's not going to say, okay, well, you know, we're going to do the PG-13. He's going to go for the R no matter what anybody says.
I mean, look at the scenes in, like, Total Recall alone, where, like, the escalator. Yeah.
Yeah.
People get blown to bits. I mean,
I could easily see this movie not even being an R-rated, or a hard R, just being flat out X-rated, because there's scenes in this movie that kind of like, you know, like Rambo 4, how they push the boundary to the very, very fucking edge.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and they're going to show little children getting stabbed to death and burned in fires alive, babies burned in fires alive, and they weren't going to cut, they weren't going to back down. They really wanted to prove that, you know, this is something that should be looked at in our society. Why aren't we looking at this? Well, how come, where's the fucking money going that we can't look at this problem? And this, I find, is like one of those like historical things that would really make you look back and say, okay, well, you know what, it's not as romanticized as we think it is. This was a very hard time for people.
Exactly.
You know, it was very unfair to a lot of people. So, yeah.
Right.
You guys want me to start off here?
Yeah, I got it pulled up.
All right. Okay, it says Crusade. Paul Verhoeven and Arnold Schwarzenegger film that was canceled early in pre-production, thanks to Coralco putting almost $100 million of intended budget for that film into Cutthroat Island, which, by the way, going from the original script for that time, was originally supposed to be a much better and fun adventure film starring Michael Douglas as a pirate who can't swim. Like we were saying before, just like one of those things, right, where they're gonna go one way with it. Oh, it's too much for us. You're gonna get this cookie cutter thing. They should have gave the money to Paul Verhoeven. So this is back to Crusade. Verhoeven already found locations in Spain and Morocco where he was going to film the movie, and he already chose some of the other actors. Gary Sinise was going to play the main bad guy. Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
He would have that Lieutenant Dan look. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the wheelchair, yeah, the hippie, yeah.
You robbed my destiny.
Yeah.
That's another. I read Forrest Gump. I read the book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, way better than the movie. Everyone gives it crap, but I'm telling you, it was a much more like a hard R version of that character. Anyway, I'll save that for later. So, Jennifer Connelly was going to play Arnold's love interest in Charlton Heston.
How would that would have been?
What, Forrest or?
No, Jennifer Connelly as Arnold's love interest. That would have been interesting because the first movie that introduced me to her was The Rocketeer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It was Labyrinth. It was Labyrinth, then The Rocketeer.
Yeah, she's enchanting. Even that drug movie she did there. Fuck. I forget the name of it. That drug movie when she was with old Silverthroat there from They Live. Damn. Yeah, with Jared Leto, that was wow, that movie hit hard. Anyway, so the Jennifer Connelly was going to play Arnold's love interest and Charlton Heston, who me and John watched in the Ten Commandments.
Oh.
Yeah, Charlton Heston was going to play one of the roles, but I don't remember which one it was. But during a meeting Verhoeven and Arnold had with the Coralco guys, Verhoeven got into some arguments about the budget and them, which ultimately led to them canceling the project due to budgetary concerns. What a shame. Now, what was Crusade supposed to be about? Well, here's the short version. All right, hold on. Here we go. So Arnold was going to play the main character called Hagen, a badass former knight turned thief, who gets captured and gets sentenced to death by his asshole cousin called Emmerich, who is also really gigantic piece of shit of a human being. And even though Hagen manages to trick his way out of his death sentence by bumming, maybe that's a typo, maybe burning, a sign of a cross on his back and faking a miracle, he is forced to be a part of the crusade going from Europe to Africa. And this crusade is led by Emmerich, and him and his army use every opportunity to commit massacres and torture innocents. Hagen, of course, doesn't like that, and after one of the fights with his cousin, he ruins Emmerich's face. He sells him into slavery, and when they get to Africa, but Hagen, again, manages to free himself thanks to a friend of his, character called Ari, who was actually very smart and useful and was willing to risk his life to save Hagen throughout the script. It kind of reminds me of that Conan kind of feel.
Tracy Walter would have been Ari. Yeah, like Conan Destroyer.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, just throwing it out there.
After surviving several more battles and massacres during his time in Africa, he finally tracks down Emmerich and other crusaders who by that point turned even more vicious and bloodthirsty. But only thing Hagen wants is finally to kill Emmerich. Spoiler alert, in the ending, during the final battle, the two of them also have their final fight, and Hagen cuts Emmerich in half while he is on the horse. So while his top half falls to the ground, the other half stays on the horse while it runs away.
That would have been a great comeuppance.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been. I'm telling you, that would have been an epic, even intense than Braveheart. You know, it would. Yeah, it wouldn't. It would kick. It would have won more Oscars than fucking Braveheart, man. I'm telling you.
I'm sure it would have done. And even if it didn't win awards, I'm sure it would have been one of those films that, like, number one would still be looked back at, number two would be a cult following, and number three would have changed the face of cinema. You know, we talk about that a lot. Like, what are those points in cinema where things would have turned? You know, like if Batman, right? Like,
right.
If they didn't do Schumacher's Batman and they did Tim Burton's Catwoman, Batman, and then Superman Lives, that would have changed the face of history. We wouldn't have looked the same as Batman. Like, argumentably, would have we got the Christian Bale Batman after that happened? Because it could have been very powerful, especially considering what Superman Lives was going to be. I think this would have been one of those where it's like we would have got it, and it would have changed how we look at maybe period pieces or films of that nature, or dealing with.
I agree. Flesh and Blood kind of did that because imagine how gory it was. But this would take it way up a notch.
Mm-hmm. It seems that like this film was going to come out 95. So what, True Lies being a big hit that it was, imagine this film coming after True Lies. It would have rivaled. It could have. I mean, imagine came out 95. He had Braveheart, so you would have Crusade and Braveheart rivaling.
Arnold would be like, after the Jurassic Park curse, we are not doing that again.
Yeah.
Next year.
You would have Crusade and Braveheart come out the same year.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Imagine that. Like, wow, that would have been a box office war.
Yeah.
Damn. There's certain movies that come out at times like that where you're like, damn, you know, that, like Die Hard 3. I went to see that opening night, and that was like, wow, that whole week going into Die Hard 3 with it on every news station, how pumped and promoted it was. Like, imagine something like this. This would have been.
And have the budget, $100 million. I mean, I'd rather have this and definitely Cutthroat Island.
Oh, sure. My God. For sure. It's ironic that it's called Cutthroat, you know, and it killed fucking Kuroko.
You cut your own throat, Kariko.
Yeah. But, there's a little bit more here with this.
Yeah, it says, I'm not saying enough when I tell you this, but holy shit, this was one bloody as fuck script. At times it was even difficult to read parts of it. And I'm not a guy who has problems with stuff like that. It had some of the most vile villains ever who were just not killing people left and right and cutting them to pieces, sometimes for no reason, but also were raping small children and their mothers, or were boiling children alive and eating them because during their crusade they ran out of food. Motherfuckers.
This would have definitely knocked Braveheart off the pedestal. I'm telling you.
It's weird too because, like, when you think of Mel Gibson, a lot of people forget, but Mel Gibson will give you the gritty. You know, Passion of the Christ, he didn't hold back. Apocalypto, he didn't hold back at all. Even Braveheart, like, I've only seen Braveheart maybe once or twice, but I never really saw it all the way through. But I know from his style that, you know, he didn't hold back when it came to a lot of that stuff.
But Verhoeven was led back even more than Gibson did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for that time, especially. For that time, the 90s, I think for sure Verhoeven would have taken it hands down. You know, it's just so weird because imagine those two films going up against each other, and both of them are like, we're not going to hold back. You know, this is how it is. Just imagine like that could, you know, like when Alien came out and everyone was like so freaked out over the chest burster scene, people were throwing up because they used apparently they used binaural sound and all that. But it's like one of those things. Imagine going to like lining up in LA outside the Chinese theater, going to see two movies. You know, I'm guessing a lot of people are going to buy tickets to one and then sneak into the other one, right? So it's like it would have been a war when this thing came out.
Yeah, an epic of a double feature epic or something.
Yes.
Yeah, they should just release that on a double bill so they could make sure that all their money was coming back.
And then you would have had your box office back and forth between this and Braveheart. What are you saying, Wildman?
Yeah, because you've had that thing with movies when you have two movies that come out are similar, like Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down and Armageddon and Deep Impact. This would have been definitely up there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's like one of those things where this could have been the greatest. Imagine if they would have released this and Braveheart on a double bill. That could have been one of the greatest cinematic marketing events of all time.
Yeah, but it definitely would have been a bigger year. Which, I mean, there was already big films that came out in 95, like Die Hard with a Vengeance and GoldenEye and Mortal Kombat, and I was trying to think of some other ones. I mean, Braveheart, of course. 7.
I think of that a lot now when I'm thinking about this whole thing with Sly saying he wants to do Rocky 7, and at the same time they're thinking about doing Creed 3, and it's like, why don't you just put them both on a double bill? You know, I'm sure it would be a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this would have been interesting, no doubt. This would have been interesting. I would have loved to have seen it. You know, Arnold. Arnold. No, he's still thinking about doing Conan the Conqueror at older age.
Yeah,
what you say?
Oh, the Crown of Iron.
So maybe he's already proven himself as an actor. So maybe he can do Conan the Conqueror and still do this in his older. He can play like a king, like have Paul Verhoeven still direct it.
If I had to choose, I'd much rather see him do this, like end his career on a high note. Do this movie or Crusade. Just end it with it. You know, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I would love to see this movie happen in any way of the form, like any way they want to do it. If they want to make it a movie, if they want to do it as an anime, if they even want to do it as like an audio book or radio drama, anything, I would so welcome this.
And give Verhoeven his, swan song, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, he finally won an Oscar for something. I don't know what it was, but he finally, I think it was some foreign film or something. It was nice that he finally got acknowledged for his stuff, which is good.
Oh yeah, it's like he's like one of those guys where you can say there's no film like a Verhoeven film. You know, like when you see a Verhoeven film, you know it's a Verhoeven film.
Yeah.
There's no yeah. Okay, so this is all the massacre scenes were very bloody, with parts flying on all sides, and they were really nasty and intense parts, with the guys having their dicks and balls cut off. And eunuchs? Eunuchs? Is that what you say? Eunuchs? EUNUCHS. Even Hagen almost gets the same treatment at one point. Kind of reminds you of Django, Quentin Tarantino's Django. And the part where he is sewn into dead composing donkey with only his head sticking out of the donkey's ass, and he is left to the vultures and hyenas. Imagine what that could have been like.
Yeah.
Bring back those great what do you call that? Those great effects from First Blood with the arm sewing, and have them sewing him into a donkey's carcass. Oh, that could have been insane. All right, so just man, considering just how fucking insane the script is, this film would be rated X. I agree with you. I so agree with you, Jack. And NC-17, just from what would happen in the first 20 minutes of it, all the stuff I mentioned here is not even half of the nastiness that happens in the script.
That's just a taste of it.
Yeah. So it says now, this was just me praising the script. I highly recommend that you go and check it out. More about Crusade around different websites. To find out more about it, you can also find an early poster for it. In fact, here's the link for it at http www.capturemag.net/wp-content/uploads/2015/06/Crusader poster DEF.jpg.
And I'll put the link in the info box. That was a long one.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah,
There's.
That was long, man. That was epic long. Epic, like you said.
Yeah. It's weird because we don't do epics really anymore.
No, we don't.
In the sense of epics. You know, like
well, they had Game of Thrones on TV, but no one really gave a fuck about that.
Yeah. Well, like, remember epics, like, you would go to a theater, you would sit down, you would watch trailers, you would get an overture, you would get a film halfway through the film because it was so long, you would get an intermission, then you would come back, watch the other half. You know, the epics used to, like Once Upon a Time in the West, or, like, you know, they used to be, like, these great, almost like an all-day thing, you know?
Yeah,
a couple of
definitely.
hours. We need that. We need that to come back, because I think that was good, because that gave you your money's worth. And today I feel like it's just so homogenized, and it's like, oh, here's a film, and one film for one price. So that's what I like about, like, what Isaiah was saying about with drive-in. When I go to drive-in, I get to choose between 6 films. I pay my ticket, and I can watch any one of them at any given time that I want.
Exactly.
It's the perfect time now. I mean, because like I said, they just they're open. The drive-ins are booming now.
Yeah,
they're booming like everybody. They're all these drive-ins that closed down. They're bringing them back. They're creating their own drive-ins, putting like a screen projector somewhere. I mean, I'm telling you, man, you can't kill the drive-in. Despite all that bullshit they were talking about trying to get rid of it, you can't kill it.
Yeah, I'm having a blast with those Shocker Internet drive-in episodes too, because it really feels like a drive-in aspect. I really love going back and watching those old, like, 50s, 60s, 70s prints with horror movies and stuff.
Definitely.
Which is why these summer movies, they say they're gonna push till the fall. That don't put them on. Bring them out in the actual summer. Stop being so fucking lazy.
And you know what? With all this Corona thing going on, it would be. I think it would restructurize the cinematic experience to say, okay, you know what? We're gonna give you more for your money. Whether they do, like, imagine that, like drive-in. There's, easily they can make drive-in safe. You got I won't say easily, but it can be done. Having the drive-in experience, but also getting, not only spending your, $10 a person, but you're actually going to get a lot more content, like, they're going to give you a reason to go and have that experience. I think in the times we live in now, they should be focusing on things like that, because not many people want to go to the movies anymore.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can tell they want to go to the movies now because they don't want to get stuck in the house all day. Because think about it, before all this, people didn't want to go to the theater. They got all Netflix. Like, Netflix, it was not the drive-in. It was a stay-in. But ever since this thing happened, people don't want to stay in the house. They want to go out. They want to go. That goes to show you never know when things come back around on you.
That's it. Like, I feel kind of blessed because I buy a VR system. So if I want to go to a party or if I want to go watch a movie in a theater, I can do that without having to leave my house. If I didn't have that, I would be going crazy because I would want to go outside. You know, it's one of those things like.
It's definitely perfect for these young kids who have these young millennial kids who have nothing to do but just play on their stupid phones all day. These kids keep saying, "I don't want, I don't watch." What the fuck do you do? What you go? What the fuck do you do all day?
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, drive-ins, man. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that experience.
Absolutely. Especially in the summertime, because it's a perfect time because to remind them that drive-ins was a summer event, but then just going to the beach and going to a outside concert, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, do you guys want to try and do Sergeant Rock, or how do you guys feel?
You want to mention the first one's that
I'll do what? Both of you spoke at once?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying you want to do the mentions that we have, the honorary mentions?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because I know you.
Oh, also, it says here that there's a review of the script at http://scriptshadow.blogspot.ca/2009/10/crusade.html. Script Shadow is a very amazing site. You might get a little Demolition Man 2 up there right now. Yeah. Just say and John, remember. Oh, okay, that's just the page mention. But yeah, like, if you want, we can save it for another time.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, because I know that's a long one, Sergeant Rock.
For another day, yes.
Yeah, that's but for people, I know we mentioned Sergeant Rock, but we're gonna save that because that's a quite a lengthy page here, like a document on Sergeant Rock. So we're gonna do an episode on that. Maybe we'll get back to Arnold. But
we got like Last Action Hero Notes, Alien vs Predator vs Terminator, Jack Slater 0, Total Recall 2, Original Terminator 3, plus The Battle Across Time, plus Robert Rodriguez Predator, and Terminator versus RoboCop. And now today, I saw they dropped Terminator versus Transformers.
Oh. And of course the DCL from the Predator game. But you know what I think we should talk about briefly, speaking of Arnold?
What's that?
How about what's going on with triplets?
I haven't heard anything, to be honest. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I mean,
like, there's hope because there's Eddie Murphy, and I feel like this whole Corona thing kind of robbed us of our chance at having a Eddie Murphy resurgence, because he was just going to do it. He just signed on for 4 movies. 6 movies with the Netflix specials. Wait,
I'm
no,
not sure.
I'm probably wrong. There's the 2 Netflix specials, Dolomite.
Well, apparently Coming to America 2 is Coming to America, the sequel.
And of course, the big one, Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Yeah, which they have in a can somewhere. It's filmed. I don't know why they haven't released it yet.
I think you're talking about the TV show, right?
Yeah, but still, they have it. It's filmed. They filmed the whole pilot. They released the script. There's concept art. There's scenes from not actual scenes, but like pictures from the scenes from the movie online, from the show. Why waste all that money? Why not find a way to tie that into the new movie and give us?
Yeah, exactly. They should have made it an actual film. But did you see when he came back on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
He still got it, man. He still has it. I'm telling you.
Even when he did that Bill Cosby thing at the awards. I don't want to go too much in on Bill, but.
Oh man.
Oh, Bill.
Yeah.
Poor Billy.
Fuck.
Poor Billy Cosby.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things. Like it's like all that was paid for back then, right? So whatever they lost on that was tax deductible from back then, right? So imagine bringing that to the forefront now and saying, okay, well, it was a 90-minute TV movie, right? So technically we have this one, and maybe if we put like a little more budget into it, we could film we could release this as 4 and do a Beverly Hills Cop 5 and 6 back-to-back one-shot film. That's it. You know, like film both movies in one shot and then release all 3 over 2 years or whatever. You know, they would make their money back, because if they used that same budget for 2 movies into one, and then everything they spent on the last one was already, I'm guessing, was deductible, so it would be a no-brainer.
Exactly.
Yes.
I still have to see Dolomite.
Like, Eddie, call somebody. Fine.
Yeah, I have to watch Dolomite still.
It's really good. I watched it. It made me cry at the end.
Eddie Murphy, I can see him. He's slowly getting up there. Hopefully, when this whole thing is over, he'll keep going. And Arnold, he's in limbo. Danny DeVito, he's doing well. He's still got that show. I just saw him do a commercial. He's still funny. I can see them doing this. You know, I can see them doing this. I believe it will be a perfect continuation of that story, because you know, you could tell they may have had other twins, because they had this experiment that was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could have had other babies. She could have had babies before them or after them or whatever.
But the interesting, you know what's interesting about this? The twist is you didn't know if the baby was black, because all these men were white, you know, and you didn't see a black guy in that scene. Because that's why I'm looking forward to that twist. You know, they had a twin who was black. It's Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
making it more funny. You know, it's perfect. I can see him being a perfect addition from going from twins to triplets. Like, for example, when I saw Ed 2, in the first movie, it was like Mark Wahlberg and the teddy bear. But in the second movie, it was like a triple with Amanda Seyfried. I thought Amanda Seyfried was a good addition to that duo that's now trio. I thought she was a good addition to that. I can see Eddie Murphy doing the same thing.
It's just so crazy, because it's like we've all waited so long to get Eddie Murphy back, and now it's just it was just gonna happen, and now it's like, is this going to affect, you know, Eddie going back on the road and doing comedy? Is this going to affect, you know? It's just one of those things. Like,
they should have jumped like, instead of Junior, because that's a weird movie. That should have been Twins 2.
Exactly. They should have did that instead back when Eddie was in his prime, instead of fucking Vampire in Brooklyn.
And it would have made more sense, right? Because Julius was schooled in all those forms of scholarity. He was schooled in everything that happened on the island and everything that happened. And when they broke the truth to him, you could see him going back and carrying on his mother's work. And you could see that leading into Junior. You know, imagine if that was Julius and not Arnold's character in Junior. It could have worked. It could have so worked. Imagine that.
Yeah, same director too. That's what I don't understand. Ivan Reitman, same director of Twins, and he directed this weird movie.
And Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
someone
Ghostbusters.
should a fucking fan script about Here's your Twins 2, motherfucker.
Back then, instead of the time with that with Arnold being pregnant, they should have waited with Eddie being the third twin. That would have been perfect during their prime, man.
Yeah. Like little Junior coming out and it's Eddie, and then set it in the future, put some prosthetics on Arnold or whatever. That would have been sick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
Now my wheels are turning, man. Now my wheels will be turning all night.
But yeah, if we get out, but when this thing, when this thing finally gets over, I can see the three of them doing this, because you know Eddie, he's slowly making a comeback. Danny DeVito, he's still working. Arnold, he's just kicking back, doing some shitty. He's still passing him the shitty scripts or whatever. But this one can definitely save him. This is one of the perfect scripts for him.
Yeah, Arnold, man.
Exactly.
Arnold.
And continuing the discussion on Arnold films, films that never were, like Arnold films that were talked about at one point and just never happened. Tonight, we're going to talk about Sergeant Rock.
Yeah.
Which, this should be
Which
interesting.
is funny. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I said this is going to be interesting because this is something that some people have heard about out there. And we're going to talk about that tonight.
Yeah, and this is coming via Jack Craven again. One big shout out to Jack Craven. Thank you so very much. Jack sent me this file the other day.
Raven, that's what I want to start calling him because he keeps getting some good stuff out of nowhere. Craven the Raven, thank you.
Yeah.
Craven the Raven.
Oh, and you were saying something, Wild Man. What were you going to say too?
No, I was about to say the funny which is the name off the comic that Hawkins read in Predator at the end credits.
Yeah.
Sergeant Rock.
Yeah. Maybe that's the story he handed to Hopper. No, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, this is going back to the 80s, and we have a whole file here of information about Sergeant Rock and the production history of this film that never was. And so we're going to deep dive into this. And again, this is all thanks to Jack Craven for providing the info. Yeah, Jack Craven's the man.
Yeah.
And it's great to have Studio Red Band and wildmanbeyond again tonight for this. So,
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. Some great guys listening out there, man. Like DJ. Shout out to DJ Donnelly.
Yeah.
Cool guy, DJ.
But
yeah, some awesome stuff. Every time we deal with Jack's notes, we got awesome. This one blew me away. So they all blew me away, but this one blew me away.
Yeah. All right. So whoever wants to start, I mean.
Yeah, I could jump in. All right. It says, don't know you already did your Arnold video, but here's an updated file on Sergeant Rock. I checked some articles from magazines like Starlog to find anything more for you guys, and I found out a few things I didn't know before about this unproduced Arnold film, so feel free to use this updated file for the video. It is our pleasure, Jack. And here's Sergeant Rock. All right, so it says, a few years after he made the first two Conan films, Schwarzenegger was going to star in another movie based on a comic book, and it was Sergeant Rock. In 2 words, original comic was about World War II. In few words. Original comic was about World War II soldier and his unit who, during the war, have to deal with a lot of shit and try to survive to see the end of it. Okay. While they were working on Predator, Arnold and director John McTiernan got interested into making Sergeant Rock, and during shooting of Predator, they read a lot of the original comics to research. In fact, if you look closely, during the ending credits of the film, Shane Black's character Hawkins is reading one of those comics.
There you go. You can tell that was a setup. That was supposed to be a setup scene that was for Arnold, for that to be Arnold's next movie. You can tell.
Exactly.
So Joel Silver produced Predator, and he also got involved as producer on Sergeant Rock along with Schwarzenegger, so it goes to show that Arnold was really into making the film.
Interesting. I wondered to interject, kind of some thought, like, say if this were to happen, because you had like 1988, you had Red Heat and Twins. Would that, how do you think it would have affected those movies?
Looking at this, I think he right after Predator, he wanted to do this, but I guess the running and something went wrong, so he did the Running Man. I think he would have done Running Man and did Red Heat and Twins. You know what? I can see him doing this back in '89 because he wasn't doing anything in '89. He may have been filming Total Recall back that came out in 1990. So he would have done this back in '89.
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah,
oh,
and it would have been big too, like coming off, Batman. Get that kind of buzz, it would have been good.
I believe even if it came out, it would Batman would have annihilated Sergeant Rock.
Yeah, Batman. Oh my goodness.
It definitely would have had that comic book feel to it because before Batman, was there anything sort of like that? I mean,
Not well.
I mean, we already had Superman, but of
but
course, Superman was going under thanks to the Quest for Peace, and that was by Canon Pictures.
yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
It's just fun to think about, how like. But what were you saying, Matt?
Well, yeah, Batman would have been, like how Batman came out at that time, so it might have kind of pushed Sergeant Rock out there for being a comic book movie.
Yeah.
I remember hearing at one point Kevin Smith said that at one point they asked him to redo the whole DC line. Yeah. Like at the same time as Superman Lives.
I wonder how that would have turned out, but
Yeah, like it's like Suicide Squad, that shitty Birds of Prey movie that just came out.
man, Sergeant Rock definitely would have been better than any of those.
That movie, I haven't seen it, but that movie looks so Kevin Smith for sure.
Which one? Yoga Hosers?
No, Birds of Prey.
Birds of
Harley,
Prey, yeah.
with Harley Quinn in there.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it either.
No one wanted to go see it because of just like this crap that goes going on now with Batwoman. When Ruby Rose leaving, it got so bat woke. That's exactly what happened with that movie.
Yeah, he was even saying that like back when him and Ralph Garman were making those Alfred jokes, and he was saying like what was it? Talia al Ghul should have just bit off his junk, and then he'd be psychologically damaged. That would destroy Batman. He'd be like, I'm not even Batman anymore. I'm like Bat Thing.
The Batarang. Oh man.
All right.
He would end up being Batwoman for real.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, so the first version of the script for Sergeant Rock film was written that same year in August of 1987 to be precise, and it was written by David Webb Peoples. He did some uncredited work on the script for Predator back when it was titled Hunter, which is coming out June 6th. Isn't it? June 6th. They're releasing the anime for comic books for the original Predator.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not sure if you get Arnold's character in there, but it looks more like the Van Damme Predator.
The praying mantis.
I am so glad with that. I'm so glad they didn't go with that design. I'm sure they recycled that design for another movie. I'm sure they used it for another movie.
Damn, it'd be
Probably.
cool to see that like as a kaiju. Like a big fucking like a Godzilla movie or something.
That can definitely work for Godzilla, having like a giant version of the Whipping Predator versus Godzilla. I would definitely go see that.
The next, I heard the next one has.
I would beam down to Earth in a minute.
It's too hot in the suit.
Have Kong Godzilla, and Mecha Godzilla. That's the next one.
Let's get too hot in the suit.
And the bad guy is the guy from It.
Yeah.
Is Andrew Sarsgaard or Bill Sarsgaard? It's one of them. Anyway. I also wrote the scripts for Blade Runner, Leviathan, Unforgiven, and the original 1982 or 83 script for Kurt Russell's underrated film Soldier. The dates on those are 1982, 89, and 92. And yeah, the 83 version of Soldier. By the way, just to mention, his original Soldier script was called The Base, or titled The Base. And Sylvester Stallone and Ted Kotcheff were going to make that film, based it on after they made First Blood. But once Stallone walked away, Schwarzenegger was considered for the role around 85, after he did Commando. And while Kotcheff was still involved to direct the film, and then Clint Eastwood got involved for some time and was going to direct and star in the film before he also left the project, and then the script went from studio to studio for like 15 years before Paul W.S. Anderson got it and made the movie, even though he and others also rewrote some of it before the filming started. And that's interesting too, because I could totally see it being like Clint Eastwood was like the Kurt Russell character, and Stallone was like the other guy's character, the guy from Dragon.
Soldier is a very underrated movie. Kurt Russell did a good job, but every time I see his performance, I can see it more as a Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been interesting.
It would have been cool, like if Sly would have said, okay, well maybe we'll change it again. Maybe have like Eastwood as the bad guy. I don't know. Maybe like an older, wiser one that went rogue or something like that. But it'd be cool to see Stallone as the villain, I think, in that.
That would have been cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, transmission from Mars.
Transmission, yeah. It's Douglas Quaid.
It's Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Where are you?
It's Richter.
Yeah. I can't find my arms.
Get the party. Pause, Rick, to see you at the party. I got your arms.
Yeah.
Oh man has his arms like a hood ornament on his spaceship.
I'm using them as drumsticks.
It's Johnny Cap. He's saying the ride is here. Yeah, to pick you up. Oh man,
Johnny Cap, so cool.
Anyway,
Ted Sutton be a cool choice.
Yeah.
All right. So now back to Sergeant Rock around first half of '88. In May, I think Warner Brothers fast-tracked the project and announced that production on the film was going to start in September, or at least in October. Stephen Lee D'Souza, who wrote the scripts for a couple of Arnold's previous hits, Commando and The Running Man, was brought in summer that year to do rewrites on the script. He had to be very quick with his rewrites because of the writer's strike, which was approaching, and he finished it just in time. That must have been hard, man, because he was working on everything.
Die Hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I love just listening to that guy talk, man.
Yeah, he seems like a very smart guy for sure. Yes, he was just interviewed for the show on Netflix, Movies That Made Us, and when they were talking about Die Hard.
Yeah, he was just in The Last Action Heroes. Oliver Harper's Last Action Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a horror one coming out next. I think he's doing a horror one now.
By the way, did you check out that fan radio play on Last Action Heroes?
Hero?
I still have to check it out.
Yeah, I haven't had time. I've been researching a lot, but that's on my list. There's a couple of them that I want to see. I watched the, I don't know if I told you guys, I watched the QT8, the Quentin Tarantino documentary.
Was it good?
Oh, I didn't know about that one. I got to check that one out for sure.
It's on YouTube. If you type in QT8 documentary, you'll find it. I think the video, it's called something else in the video. I think it's called 21 Years of Quentin Tarantino or something, but it's the movie's called QT8, and it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so where was I here? Okay, so the story of the script took place in Italy during the winter of 1944 and follows Sergeant Rock and his unit and then fighting against German troops who were trying to counterattack and wipe out the U.S. troops. Rock barely survives his first mortar strike by Germans and gets badly injured, while a lot of other soldiers, including some of his own men, are killed. While some army assholes who do not know shit about combat have their own stupid ideas for what to do and just want to pull back from incoming enemy forces, Rock literally walks into the battlefield to search for the rest of his unit to get them out of there alive. And when he finds them, they end up having to fight day and night against a huge number of German soldiers, commandos, tanks, planes, you name it. Not just to stay alive, but to save a small unit of the black U.S. soldiers who are also lost in the middle of enemy lines just like them, but are still fighting off Germans and refuse to retreat. And all of this is happening during the very snowy winter. That would have been cool. Like, I bet you that would have been a really cool visual.
I wonder, like, to ask you guys too, like, what combination of movies do you see from this?
I kind of get
what movie that comes in my mind thinking about this, because this was based off a comic book that dealt with the issues of war, The Rocketeer.
I could definitely see a bit of Band of Brothers in this.
Yeah. Mixed with maybe the Predator, minus the alien aspect.
Yeah.
But kind of that mercenary kind of feel to it, like Band of Brothers type.
Expendables, like
Expendables,
You know what? All these movies that came out around that time about a team of soldiers and Sergeant Rock and before the Expendables, it goes back to the Dirty Dozen, because the Dirty Dozen was those ensemble action movies. Like it all started with the Magnificent Seven, who were cowboys, and then they decided to do the same thing with the military, which is the Dirty Dozen, and of course, and of course, the Dirty Dozen inspired movies like Predator or The Expendables, about a team of guys. And you know what's funny? I mentioned Charles Bronson earlier. Charles Bronson was in the Dirty Dozen, and Lee Marvin was the lead character, and he ended up being in Delta Force with Chuck Norris. And of course, Delta Force was inspired by Dirty Dozen. It's all these movies about a team of guys, a team of soldiers going on an adventure. It all goes back to the Dirty Dozen. So I can see a little bit Dirty Dozen in this, along with Expendables.
A little teaser in there also is that Jack is doing a little bit of Dirty Dozen research right now. So that might be a big possibility for an episode, I guess, later this month or next month or something. Because he was talking about it. It's fantastic.
John, have you seen Dirty Dozen, John? Have you seen Dirty Dozen?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you got to check that out.
But I kind of get vibes here if you mashed Saving Private Ryan and the Delta Force.
Yes, with Dirty Dozen, sure.
Yeah, kind of like a precursor to the Expendables, that type. But if you put it in the World War II era.
Yeah.
But Dirty Dozen, I think that will be the number one thing to mention, because Expendables, because in the Dirty Dozen, these were a team of military prisoners who were murderers and killers, and they were expendable. So that you can tell another reason why Expendables was inspired by that, mostly Dirty Dozen. They were always bring up, before Expendables, they were always bring up Dirty Dozen, about a team of guys going on a mission, way before Expendables became popular.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I saw that there was someone brought up that there was a 1991 Expendables. So I'm trying to. I think it's on YouTube. I'm gonna try and watch that and see.
There was actually a female Expendables movie, but this was before the Expendables came out. This was before it was called Expendables, and it was a USA made for cable movie.
Huh. Mm-hmm. They know about that.
Yeah, I wanted to check that out because I saw someone upload something on that. All right. So it was going to be action-packed with fast-paced and very bloody film. Very few times when the story would pause to take a breath between the action scenes. and it also had some really fun humor in it, which is no surprise when you have both D'Souza and Schwarzenegger working together again. Example, there was a scene where one of the soldiers from Rock's unit falls asleep while they are surrounded by enemies, and he dreams how his wife crawls out of the mud and has sex with him. One of the other soldiers screams at him to wake the fuck up, since even the explosions couldn't wake him up. And later in the script, he falls asleep again, and this time dreams his wife having sex with the Nazi commandos, and he wakes up only to see his friend fighting against real commandos, and just beats their head in thinking that he is his wife. And it's not until later that he realizes that he is awake and what has actually happened. That's pretty psychological.
Yeah.
That's a little jarhead in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that movie. Jake Gyllenhaal and Jamie Foxx. Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
You know, I am online and I'm looking at some pictures of what this character looks like, Sergeant Rock. He doesn't seem like a muscle bound type of guy. He's tough, but he just seems like more of a rough soldier. He kind of looks. I'm looking at his face. He seems like a character that maybe he looks like a lot like Robert Mitchum.
Yeah.
So maybe if they did the comics back maybe in the 50s or 60s or 70s, I would see Robert Mitchum play him, or even better if they would have gotten someone like Clint Eastwood for that role, for Sergeant Rock. And Arnold, I mean, I don't know if he can play that role because Arnold is German. He's fighting against the Germans, so I don't see how that would work. I think it would have been better if they got Clint Eastwood and have the kind of role he played. You remember that movie Heartbreak Ridge?
Yeah.
He played a character so similar. He was so macho. You gotta watch that movie. He didn't take. He was training all these weasels for a mission. You gotta see. He did not take any shit at all from them. He mopped their asses off. He mopped their asses with their balls, man. He didn't give a shit. He toughened them up. And that was kind of like a Dirty Dozen type movie, a team men on mission. So I could see it. So if so he would have taken that character he played in Heartbreak Ridge and put it for Sergeant Rock. I think it would have been better if it had Eastwood in there instead of Arnold.
That would have been interesting.
That could have worked.
Yes.
Definitely.
So it says even Sergeant Rock would end up being a lot like the WW2 version or World War II version of John Matrix from Commando. He was the same type of badass superhuman Schwarzenegger character. So basically it was going to be a World War II action film with more of a focus on fun and excitement than on realism, and made in the same style like some of the best 1980s action films. While the script was still being written, all the pre-production work was just about done already. There were promotional buttons which had Schwarzenegger picture of Sergeant Rock that were handed out on conventions. That would make a great thumbnail for the video.
Yeah, and which there's a link.
Excuse me.
There's a link right here, which I'll post in the info box. So there's some links here to those promotional buttons, and there's some other links too, which we'll come across in this file, this document that we're reading.
Yeah,
you know, Matt. That's interesting. How it was supposed to be, how this character was similar to John Matrix in Commando, because that leads that just leads to a theory I just discovered that maybe the character of John Matrix was inspired by Sergeant Rock, and they had the idea for a Sergeant Rock movie during Commando. While making Commando, I think they wanted to do a Sergeant Rock movie but who had that superhuman type of deal, but they couldn't, so they had to do like something like Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger while they were still trying, and maybe they were still trying to keep up that idea after Arnold became famous. So I think that's what they were trying to do with Commando. I guess they wanted to do a Sergeant Rock movie, but instead they tried to do it with Commando with Arnold. That's my theory I have.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. And they were trying to superheroize Commando too at the time, I remember. And they have comic books about that too, where it was like super like Uncle Sam type of Commando comics. And it's weird because now I'm thinking like whenever you reading that Commando 2 or whatever, you know, like when you start reading D'Souza and how he portrays Arnold, it's like it's a page, like it doesn't slow down. It's very interesting because like this is one of those ones where you think, okay, well, it would have been good because usually whenever you read that his writing, it's like, okay, like that Commando 2, you know, like I gonna read a couple of pages and that was it for now, and then boom, I read them, and then, you know, I went outside for a cigarette and I look over across the room at it, and I hear those drums, you know, those steel drums, that Commando music, and I'm like, damn, I can't put it down, man. I can't stop. I mean, so it's like, it would have been cool. It would have been cool to at least see how that could have translated.
I mean, imagine if like he made this right after Commando, a year later. You know, it's not like he had anything come out in '86. He could have.
Yeah. Well, he came out with Raw Deal. That's a very underrated movie. But I would have seen him do 2 movies around '86, Raw Deal and Sergeant Rock for sure.
Yeah,
I think that would be good.
So you would have had, like, if you wanted to talk about that Arnold and Stallone rivalry, you could have had Sergeant Rock, Cobra, maybe.
Yeah, because they both came out with the badass movies. The 2 years, the next 85, 86. You know, that would have been even epic. Yeah, for sure.
Imagine those two going at it in Soldier.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Damn. That Led Zeppelin in the background.
86 too.
If they, instead of Soldier, they would have ended up doing Contra instead. When the Contra game came out, they would turn Soldier into Contra.
Oh,
they were fighting against each other, and now they have to fight with beside each other. That would have been. They wouldn't take it. They would have taken some of stuff from Soldier and added it into Contra. That would have been intense, man.
Oh yeah.
Or if you look at another film that year, like the Delta Force, like you could have said, okay, which was better, Delta Force or Sergeant Rock? You know.
Yeah, you know, it's funny how even Italian. I gotta give. I want to give a shout out to Italian Science 51 Fabio.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, man. Delta Force, because you know Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson were both known for both in canon films. Charles Bronson was supposed to be in Delta Force, but as the Lee Marvin character.
Oh, that would have been interesting. That would have been cool.
That poke with Chuck Norris, Charles Bronson, the 2 Chucks in the canon, it would have been epic. Oh my God.
Would have been badass.
Yeah.
The movie itself would have exploded out of badassery.
Shit, man.
2 Chucks. That's the trailer. That's all the trailer. 2 Chucks.
Yeah.
In
the Chuck Force.
1
James Cameron's. Oh man.
Oh man. The Delta Wish.
Delta Wish.
Anyways.
The wish of these 2 together has come true. The Delta Wish. The wish has
Oh man.
Right. Okay, so McTiernan was in Europe scouting for the film locations, costume design, and started working on Arnold's army uniform for the film. Even the special effects guys started planning on how they were going to make the effects in the film just based on the script. There was a small issue with the fact that in the comics, Rock is an all-American character, so in the script and in the movie, he was going to have a German-Australian background. It would be explained that his parents were killed by Nazis, and since he could speak German, he would also use this to ambush, surprise, or just talk shit to Nazis during some of the action scenes. That would have been fucking cool.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. That would have been a worthy change. You know, I would accept that change.
Well, like I said, it kind of has similarities to the Rocketeer because it had some war elements to it because he was fighting against the Nazis. Yeah.
Well, that would have been wicked.
Damn.
Okay, so in July, about a week after Die Hard was released, McTiernan said in an interview how he went through many places in Europe but couldn't find any locations that were big enough for action sequences they had in the script, which was going to include a lot more and even bigger explosions than the ones in Die Hard, or just didn't have the right 1944 style look. He mentioned they had plans to film the movie in Italy, but then decided to film in Yugoslavia and Spain. And all the big action scenes were going to be filmed back in the U.S. in Montana and North American West, which they had a schedule and a release date all planned.
Huh.
Okay, so Arnold didn't want to go, as he said, all over the world, all over the world to make the movies, since guys like Clint Eastwood could go and make the movies in the same places.
Just mention that, see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clint.
So, while he was trying out his uniform for the film, and one of the designers told him how he heard they were going to make the film in Europe, Arnold walked over to his studio office while he was still in costume, where he talked with whoever was in charge about how he said he wasn't going to make the movie anywhere outside the U.S. The Sousa said in an interview they called McTiernan and some studio executives, and they all had some meeting, and whatever happened during it, the Sousa never found out. But in the end, the project was canceled probably not even a few weeks before shooting was supposed to start. From what the Sousa said, there probably was some contract which the studio made with Arnold early in pre-production, in which they promised him that they were going to make the film in the U.S., which is why he wasn't sued or anything after. He alone basically said that the project was over and the movie was not going to happen or be made.
Huh. What do you guys take from that?
I think, I don't blame Arnold for traveling, because I feel like he was burned out because he already did some movies where he had to travel like Predator and Commando. Yeah. He had to travel different. I think he was burned out. He's like, I don't want to do any more movies where I have to travel this. Yeah, but like I say, Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood would have been perfect. But I think he would have done it. But he was still doing a movie like that back in '86. Like I said, with Heartbreak Ridge.
It's kind of.
He played a character that was kind of like superhuman. He was very macho. He had this very roughy boy. He didn't do stuff like that was superhuman in that movie. But when the way he did things was almost superhuman, because I think Heartbreak Ridge was inspired by Sergeant Rock. Originally, it was supposed to be a Sergeant Rock movie in the '80s. They were trying to make it, but they changed his character to something else. I think Heartbreak Ridge is actually Clint Eastwood as Sergeant Rock.
I still have to watch this.
Oh man, you gotta check that movie out. It was directed by Clint himself. If you watch that movie, it looks like a movie made by Cannon, but it wasn't a Cannon movie. But the way it was made, because Bronson was doing Cannon movies with Chuck Norris, and they were still in that Bronson Eastwood rivalry was still going on. They were trying to get Eastwood to do some Cannon type of movie, and they gave him the script of Heartbreak Ridge, and for Cannon, why just make it an actual movie for Warner Brothers? I can direct it. So every time you watch Heartbreak Ridge, it feels like a movie made by Cannon.
And it's interesting, coming off that paragraph that Matt just read, because it kind of makes sense. Because what did Arnold do after Predator? He did Twins, which is more comedy and it's sort of taking it easy, and it's a great movie, but and then Red Heat, which is kind of filmed in one location. So he kind of did, Chicago. So he took it easy. Until he did Total Recall, and it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, you can definitely see the strain. Like today we have the World Wide Web and everything, so you don't really have to. You still have to travel, but you don't have to travel as much because you could just talk, online or whatever. Back in the day, remember like how horrible it was? Like back in the day where it was like people would just call you in. No, we don't talk on the phone. You got to come here, and then you have to travel halfway around the world. And being Arnold and working on the things that he was working on, I could easily see him just being like, you know what, forget it. I'm not. You know, I have a family. I have kids. I have to spend time with my kids. I can't be running around like that.
Even before Commando, doing Conan Barbarian and Destroyer, and
Yeah, he played characters that were in foreign places, you know. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, when they mentioned Clint Eastwood, I think that the script for Heartbreak Ridge was originally supposed to be Sergeant Rock, but in the '80s. But they decided, I think Eastwood wanted to change a little bit of it because he played a character that was so much like Sergeant Rock, a Gunnery Highway, his name was, and like I say, he didn't take any shit. He was badass. He was tough. You know, he didn't take any shit. I mean, when you look at that character, you're like, that's Sergeant Rock.
yeah, now I've got to watch that movie now.
Check it out, man. Check it out. Oh, by the way, Mario Van Peebles is in it.
I do have.
He's hilarious in that. He plays a very cool character in that too.
I have it as part of a double pack with Firefox. All right, we're back from intermission and continuing with Sergeant Rock.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so
All
what
right.
do we have?
All right, so it says, which sucks because, I mean, this was not one of those cases where the studio makes bad decisions or where the budget was a problem or anything else or whatever else. This was just a case of the main star, unfortunately, having different opinion and probably a bit of an ego on him. And just because of that, a very promising project that was Sergeant Rock was canceled from being made. In very recent interview, Quentin Tarantino said that he read the original script for Sergeant Rock by David Webb Peoples, which he called terrific, and the only script written by some other writer, which he would have loved to direct and make into a movie back in the day. And as far as for any other info about the project, well, it's not much, but here it is. There were several other writers who rewrote the script over the next years. Here are some which are worth a mention. All right.
But real quick.
So,
what do you think Tarantino would have done with this movie?
Oh, would have been bloody.
Would have done exactly what he did with Inglourious Basterds, because don't forget that was the genesis for the Expendable, because he wanted to put all those guys like the Dirty Dozen, how a team of guys like Schwarzenegger and Stallone and Dolph Lundgren, and for some reason Tarantino went all pussyfied. He said no, and then of course Sly got pissed off, and then he did the Expendables.
Yeah,
it's a good old. Oh man, the good old Barney Ross.
Yeah.
I'm sure that also, like, after Rambo 4, like the original version for Rambo 4, after that, well, not the original, but like the one they were going with, it ended like it was going to be the next like the first Expendables movie. So I was like, man, it would have made more sense for the Expendables to be a Rambo title because, you know, expendable, right? Rambo's expendable.
You're not expendable, Rambo.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever heard that word, was in Rambo 2. And then he took that, and 10 years later, he does something with Expendables. And you know what? If you go back and watch Rambo First Blood Part 2 and how he was the term one-man army and how the story was made, it was like a one-man Dirty Dozen because you expect an action movie about a team of guys going on a mission, not just one man. So the thing about the one-man army line, if movies like this involve about a group of guys. Originally in action movies back then, you had a group of guys, not just one man, not mostly one man all the time. And then in the 80s, they changed that to how one man is capable of all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Of course, the line, you're not expendable. Rambo First Blood Part 2 is a one-man Dirty Dozen. It's like a Dirty Dozen, but with one man, not one dozen, you know?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Man,
Absolutely.
that boat scene gets me every time.
Oh, yes.
Damn.
And then he turns that around again with Expendables, by a team of Rambos.
You know what else is weird? Is in that Rambo 4 script I was talking about. It's called Pearl the Cobra. If people want to read it, just type in Pearl the Cobra and you will find it on Google. There's a scene. You know the scene where Rambo's on the boat with Julie Benz? And she's like, where are you from and all that? Well, there's a part in there where she leans over and she looks at him, and she's got the cross on her hand on her thing, right?
Yeah.
She looks over at Rambo, and she sees he has like a charm around his neck, and she's like, "Hey, what's that?"
Pearl of the Cobra. I know you're gonna go there.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Well, that's the Nagamani. That's the Pearl of the Cobra."
No, that was the original subtitle for Rambo 4, Rambo for Pearl of the Cobra. But I think I think it's gonna get people confused. Like, this is gonna be like a Cobra Rambo crossover, so they changed it. But I read the script. I did read the script before the movie came out online. Yeah.
But it's such a great scene because it kind of goes back to Cohen Rambo with, what's that around your neck? Because he says, oh, that's the Nagamani, that's the Pearl of the Cobra. That's that gives you special powers. You win any war. You will always have good crops, but you can't kill the snake for it. It has to give it to you, or else it has no power. And because he's the snake wrangler, right? He gets it and he wears it, kind of like homage to Ko.
Is it interesting?
Yeah, it is interesting. But you know what? He can still do that with Cobra. I can see Cobra wearing that, but he can add it with his the Cobra on his gun and the eye of the Cobra around his neck. That would be great for. He can still do that.
Yeah, just put the pearl right into the gun, right onto that.
There's the cure. Yeah.
Damn. All right. Where was I?
Yeah, man, a lot of interesting stories coming off this.
Yeah. I think Jack is sending us Rambo 2 and 3 next. I think.
Okay.
Interesting.
I know next week's the anniversary for 2 and 3.
Oh.
Well, we can do that.
Come on, Jack.
I would love to get into that.
Okay. All right, so it says in 1990, Jeffrey Boehm wrote his version of Sergeant Rock. Boehm wrote or just did some of the work on the script for many different films in the 80s and 90s, including Lethal Weapon 2 and 3, Inner Space, Lost Boys, Indiana Jones and Last Crusade from 87, and 89. And also wrote some unproduced scripts, like the much better version of Lethal Weapon 4 in 1995. Boehm didn't like earlier scripts by Peoples and D'Souza when they were written as Schwarzenegger film, and after doing 6-month-long research and development on the script, he wrote his version, which he wanted to be more realistic and in a dark anti-war film. But producers disagreed since they wanted more of a fun, entertaining film, of course. So Boehm was very disappointed since all the research he did about the war really made him want to make a movie which would show how horrible it really is.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it says in 1991, Robert Zemeckis got involved to direct the film, and it's possible that he or somebody else did another draft, but then he left the project. I don't think that would have been as bloody. I think that would have been like a G-rated Sergeant Rock. In 1992...
I was going to say, because Robert Zemeckis seems like an odd choice to direct this type of movie.
Yeah. I could see him, after the Back to the Future thing, I could see them being like, okay, let's get him, because probably would have looked visually stunning.
See Robert Zemeckis directing Sergeant Rock, how it's like a mixture of fantasy, and of course bring back the music of Alan Silvestri, because after he did the music with Predator, he can still do it with that.
That's a good point. Yeah, Alan Silvestri would have been great for this.
Yeah.
In 1992, Ebra Smith, who wrote 1993 Joel Schumacher and Michael Douglas film Falling Down, wrote another unproduced version of Sergeant Rock.
Are we going to say, "Wow, man"? Defense?
But when you meant falling down, that was interesting.
That's a really brilliant script, too, for Falling Down. That's like really...
You know what? If Sergeant Rock was made like in the 60s and 70s, speaking of Michael Douglas, I could see Kirk Douglas in that role.
I could see it.
That would have been cool.
Kirk Douglas or Michael Douglas, maybe.
Yes, Michael.
Yeah.
And don't forget, Kirk Douglas was originally supposed to play Trotman in First Blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
It says sometime after Schwarzenegger's version of the film was canceled, there were plans to get Bruce Willis to play Sergeant Rock. That could have been interesting.
I could have seen that. I could see Bruce in a role like that because he's not like, because Bruce, he's not a muscle bound guy, but he has that gruff toughness that would have been perfect because a lot of World War veterans had that gruffiness to them. But I could see you with Bruce. Bruce would have nailed it for sure.
He's the Billy Goat's gruff.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Hudson Hawk. You need Danny Aiello in that team.
Oh, Danny Aiello. He was one of the best parts of that. He stole that movie, Hudson Hawk. He stole that movie.
So Rock in the early 90s, and the script was still based on the same script as Peoples and D'Souza from 88, but it was also rewritten by director and screenwriter John Milius, who wrote and directed Schwarzenegger's Conan the Barbarian. In 1993, Schwarzenegger and Milius were friends and wanted to work on together again. Joel Silver was still going to produce the film. Rennie Harlan was another one of the choices for the director, and so was Paul Verhoeven.
Interesting.
Which means this was in development around the same time he and Arnold were trying to make Crusade, another one of their projects, which we talked about last time. But this version of Sergeant Rock never got passed through the pre-production plans, apparently because it would have had been too expensive. I can see that too, especially for Verhoeven trying to make everything.
How things are connecting with how things are so connected, like that song, one thing leads to another. That would have been another epic for Arnold, a war epic with Paul Verhoeven. I mean,
it's kind of like shit. It's kind of like Crusade. What then they? I mean, I forgot because I know we discussed this last week. But did they say like Crusade was too expensive? Now Sergeant Rock is too expensive.
Yeah, that's what they always say. That it's like it's not too expensive. They just want to make sure they don't have to put that much into like promotional for the film because promotional is majority of the film cost, right? So they probably they're just trying to we want to make this one on the cheap, right? It's always cheap.
Or just wait after True. They could have just waited after True Lies, being that was a big hit. That should have been enough reason to either make Sergeant Rock or Crusade, or you could do both for God's sakes.
What was Arnold doing in '95?
No.
What was he doing? He was filming Eraser. Yeah, this would have been
your luggage.
with Paul. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
That railgun was cool, man. That railgun. Get down!
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. All right, 1996, Brian Helgeland, who wrote his own draft of Sergeant Rock, was based on the original script by Peoples. Helgeland wrote the scripts for films like Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and LA Confidential, which he won an Academy Award. Rewrote original scripts for the Under Siege 2 and Assassins. Under Siege 2, shout out to Ryan Michaels, who was Steven Seagal's stunt double. He wrote the original script for Under Siege 2 and Assassins, and wrote and directed the original version of Mel Gibson's Payback before the studio reshot most of the film, but his draft of Sergeant Rock also went nowhere.
Interesting.
Mm.
I found some stuff on Payback.
Oh, really?
There's a whole comic book series on Payback.
I didn't even watch that. I
think
I
shout out to Ross Fortune for sending that.
What are you saying, Wild Man?
What, Payback, the Mel Gibson movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow! I didn't know that. That was a good movie. I went to go see it when it came out. Very good movie.
Well, I was gonna send you guys something the other day and I forgot. And now I'm gonna send it to you after this. Which I was watching. Me and my wife were watching the video you guys did on. Last time you guys did a video, and you guys were talking about the damn, I just forgot what it was.
Are you talking about the live stream?
Oh yeah, it was for Remember you guys talking about Ransom?
Oh yeah, Ransom, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
Soundtrack. That soundtrack is amazing.
Give me back my son.
Yeah. Fuck. Smashing Pumpkins soundtrack, man. It's a pretty heavy soundtrack. I think they did all the music for the villains.
Oh, really?
For the kidnappers. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Awesome Chicago band. Awesome. And even related to the band Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so sometime in the mid-2000s, Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo, who are most well known for writing the script for The Rocketeer,
Oh my! Like I said, I mentioned that. What a coincidence!
That would have been cool too. That's a movie I gotta go back and watch again.
That's a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Iron Man before Iron Man.
Yeah. In 2007, Joel Silver still wanted to make the film and hired John Cox to write a completely new version of the script based on Wilson and DeMeo's script. And he wanted Guy Ritchie to direct the film. Based on it, Guy rewrote Cox's script in 2008, but still never made the film, although he did work with Silver on both Sherlock Holmes films.
I don't know about Guy Ritchie, but...
It wouldn't look like some shit like Sherlock Holmes or something.
Yeah.
In 2009, another screenwriter, Chad St. John, was hired to write another new version of the script, and the story would not take place in 1994 but in modern time. He's the one who wrote the script for that film, Punisher: Dirty Laundry, by Adi Shankar. Amazing. Have you seen Adi Shankar's show?
No, I haven't.
Bootleg Universe?
No, I haven't.
Holy fuck. That's a crazy show. Where he gets people to come on and do their pitches for movies that they want to make. Beverly Hills Cop 4, The Warriors, Ninja Turtles, fuck He-Man. Fuck, man, there's so many of them.
You gotta send me the link to that.
I will send you that.
I've seen Punisher: Dirty Laundry. That was pretty damn good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's from the same site as Punisher: Dirty Laundry. It's from the same. And they also did a couple of Judge Dredd things, and they had their hands in the Judge Dredd, the Carl Urban Judge Dredd one, I think.
Oh.
Did they have anything on Rambo?
No, not that I've seen yet. That's something I would always love to ask him. But it gets pretty intense. Like, you're watching and you're going, man, these are pitches, but they're well thought out pitches. Like, really well thought out pitches. It says here, and London has fallen. So another award-winning screenwriter, Akiva Goldsman, who's going to produce the film with Silver and probably work on the script as well. Francis Lawrence, who directed Constantine, I Am Legend, and Hunger Games sequels, was going to direct the film. That didn't happen, of course. You know, I still gotta watch Constantine.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Rewatched that again recently.
I heard that Keanu Reeves might come back as that character.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I'll be down for that.
That'd be cool. They should just rework that into the new DC.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what they're gonna like.
They're in limbo.
Yeah. This new Batman fucked up every plan they had.
Yeah.
And the Joker fucked up every plan they had. Now it's either, like, they're going to have to start doing parallel universes because they have nowhere to go unless they want to scrap everything they worked on for the last 10 years and start over again. If they do that, they're fucking stupid. If they
keep rushing shit. They're too hungry for money.
Yeah. The DC's been interrupted by another DC, the damn Corona.
AKA the Kidman Crush.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right, so then it says in 2010, Silver, who is still working on the project, said that the story was changing again and it was going to take place in the future. Not surprisingly, this really pisses off fans. But here we are almost 8 years later, still no Sergeant Rock film. So there's no reason to worry for now. But with all these comic book films nowadays, and since Sergeant Rock is a DC Comics property, who knows what could happen in the future. And with all the praise the very first version of the script from 87 got over the years, it's still just wishful thinking that somebody would take that one and made it into a film nowadays. Stuff like amounts of violence, unrealistic depiction of World War II, lack of any female characters, and whatnot will probably piss off a lot of SJW pussies.
On them, shit on them.
But they're all climbing out of Shane Black's closet.
Yeah.
They're all like, we're coming to get you.
Yeah.
Especially if they would have seen that sex scene, those sex scenes, they would have been like, that's it. We'd have to jam them up in that cum hole.
Yeah, just making some house.
Shoot them out of the fucking Chuck cannon.
They should take their bullshit and give it back up into their cum hole. That's for fucking sure.
It's as big as a house.
I didn't. It was the echo. I didn't say it twice.
Yeah. Oh man.
So it says, if you want to read the script for yourself,
Yeah, there's a link that I apparently.
there's an online copy of it here. Yeah.
Apparently, I forgot to paste a link with that, so I'll go back and find that link and I'll put it in the information box.
But you know what? You know, they can. We'll see how comic book movies are. I can see them making this. Now, of course, they're who the person they're going to pick. They can probably pick Dwayne Johnson. No surprise.
He got another role this week.
What?
Fuck, what was it? It was a black role that they're casting him in. I want to say John Henry.
John Henry? I know they did a movie with Terry Crews, but it wasn't.
Yeah. The Chris's Iron Jaw.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like, that's another one that's such a great story. Like, don't mess that story up. Why you giving it to The Rock?
I remember Danny Glover. He did a TV movie as John Henry. He did a good job.
They should just make a sequel to that.
Yeah. But even like this,
I haven't seen that movie that he did, though. I should check that out.
So you guys think that, Sergeant Rock could still work today? I mean, even though Arnold's getting up there, but...
I think maybe, like, I don't know many of the comic arcs, but if there is an arc where they hand it off to someone else, I would love to see Arnold come in as, like, do a quick trilogy, like a straight back-to-back. Arnold and the new guy, and take over.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. Go for it.
No, you go first. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just say, like, they could do a one-shot where they could, factor in the budget for all three films, film it all in one shot, and have, like, the first one be about Arnold, maybe at his later age, and then the second one introducing the new Sergeant Rock, and then the third one passing up the torch. That way you get a trilogy out of it, and you get Arnold in all three.
I can see Arnold, if they're going to bring Arnold in, since Arnold is half German, I can see him as the villain. I can see him as one of the main villain.
You could do it.
And maybe have Dwayne Johnson as the Rock, as Sergeant
Rock. Yeah. Or maybe you could... Thomas Jane would be interesting, because the guy gets no work.
That's another guy who's not muscular, but he's gruff. He's played. Of course, he's played characters like that who are in the war, the Vietnam War. I can see him in that role. That's a perfect role for him. But they kept shitting all over him after Predator and The Punisher. Get him for Sergeant Rock. Give that guy a fucking break already.
Yeah, definitely don't hand that one to Shane Black.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a big pussy.
Yeah. He'll make Sergeant Rock have Tourette's and talk about fucking an aardvark.
Did he just say, eat my pussy? I think he did.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. You know that there's got to be at least one joke in there like that, right?
It's an automatic guarantee with Shane Black. There's got to be a cunt joke in there, or...
And he
fucking aardvark.
Said he wrote that in because they hired him. That the reason, of course, he was in Predator because they hired him as a screenwriter, and they just put him in the movie. And he even said he wrote the.
Yeah, because he had to be there all the time, right? And he had to be engaged in the script, and they were writing it on the fly, right? And then they got the suit, and then they had to rewrite it on the fly. So
it's like Shane Black handed it to Hawkins. It's like, hey, write this movie. Write this Predator movie. How would you write it, Hawkins?
It's so weird of a choice because it's like, it's like, you would think if that's his first movie, right? Why would he be writing dialogue like that for his own character? Like, what convinced him to think that that was a good idea? Eventually, it works for the movie, but it's like an odd choice. But I don't know. Maybe he was just blown off steam because I'm assuming he was under really hard duress writing for that movie.
This was a world he once entered, and now he had an opportunity to come back, and he fucked it up.
Exactly. That's a whole. Don't get me started on the movie.
I haven't even seen it.
Oh, The Predator? Oh, don't. You don't want to see it, my man.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
It's
absolutely horrible.
But I like that idea of Sergeant Rock, how, you know, what you said, Matt, about incorporating Arnold into maybe like a trilogy back-to-back shot at. If you can't have Arnold in a lead role, you know, I guess I understand because, you know, of his age, have him be like a general.
Yeah, exactly. Also, because of his age, you know, like, it would be a lot better for him to work on 3 films in 1 year than 3 films in 10 years.
Like I said, he can play the villain because he's half German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you get, let's say if you had him as a villain, how would he play it? Like, if you had to compare.
He would have to, like, really, like, completely not pay attention to anyone on set. He would have to really go to a dark place and, like, you know,
he already did it with
just evil.
He did it with the Terminator, so why not have that bring that darkness into this? He did with the Terminator.
Yeah,
that's what got him started in the first place.
Yeah, have him be in, you know, stone cold kind of demeanor.
Yeah, you'd have to have him do something like eat a baby or something.
Okay. What director would you have? Yeah,
Paul Verhoeven, because I can
Verhoeven.
see that Saving Private Ryan was like the way Steve Spielberg shot is like what Paul Verhoeven he took he took some stuff from Verhoeven, and I can see Verhoeven take it even higher, even more extreme, more intense to really show the horror of war.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. He would have really dug back to that psychological horror of war. He wouldn't have held back. You know, he would have shown the grisliest, bloodiest details. You know, there would be no. I'm pretty sure they would go even further than that. I'm pretty sure they would, you know, talk about a lot of those things that were happening during the Vietnam War with the villages and the rapings and, you know, like the rogue soldiers, and I'm sure he wouldn't have candy coated any of it.
Yeah, I was wondering, maybe I'm just, I don't know, I've kind of like coming off the John Wick movies, seeing those again, like Chad Stahelski, what he would do. I mean, it's hard to, I don't know, maybe I'm just spitballing some ideas here.
Yeah.
You just came up with something. Get Keanu as Sergeant Rock.
Yeah, Keanu versus Arnold.
You can have the same match as John Wick, but in World War II. It's perfect.
I guess maybe Stahelski would be great with the gunplay, but I'm kind of thinking I have to, like, I guess with the spectacle of it. You know, sort of that grand feel, like kind of like Hacksaw Ridge, you know, like type, you know.
I could see Mel Gibson would be a good choice too, but I could see imagine Verhoeven back in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what would have been really cool? I would think if they couldn't get Arnold to star Sergeant Rock, this is an odd choice, but just go with me on this one. I would pick Scott Bakula.
That would be interesting.
But you know what's speaking of
that old 50s soldiers look to him, you know? He has that all-American old 50s soldier.
He does. And speaking of Mel Gibson, I would have seen him play that role back then, you know, because he already did some movies dealing with the world wars, you know, so I could see him. He would have done it. I think he could still do it. Maybe he's too old, but I could have seen him. He does have that scruffy attitude to him.
That Lethal Weapon, I think it's that one that Jack was talking about, the Lethal Weapon 4. Just before, I think that draft had started in the war and had Riggs help save another guy like him, another POW like him, and they escape. and then the POW turns on him and leaves Riggs back at the war, and then he comes back and has, that affects him. I think I'm mixing that up a little bit with the Lethal Weapon 5 that they were going to do, where Riggs has to go. No, it is. I think it is that one. He comes across that guy or someone related to that guy later on. But the other one, the other Lethal Weapon 5 was really cool, where they had they were going to do it in snow. It was all going to take snow in the city.
Oh, that would have been cool.
I have a feeling that's what they're going to do with this one. I have a feeling that's what they're going to do with this next one.
Man,
I can see that.
Is there anything else you guys want to add to this? Like, as far as like, I think Matt, you wanted to. As far as like this Arnold stuff, like I guess like a couple more points.
Well, we can save that for another night. I'm still going through a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
Want to do another? We could do maybe because I think the Rambo one will be short. Maybe we could do Rambo and Arnold next time together.
I'll definitely be there for Rambo, no doubt.
And but yeah, this was a very cool discussion, and I guess like final thoughts on Sergeant Rock.
It sounded very interesting because I after seeing that, discovering this character with Predator, I think the comic and hearing about what I can see this still working, unless they get the right people, get the right people for this, get the right director, right actor, they can still go for this. And I can see still Arnold in this, maybe not as the main character, but definitely as a villain. For sure, he can play that cold-blooded villain since he's half German, Australian. So I can see Arnold has a chance with this for sure, but have a different character play the hero. I'm down for it if it happens. It sounds very interesting. I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool to go back and you wonder what this with this type of film, what kind of time it could have fit in, because, between Commando and Predator, and it's like, damn, this would have been cool to see back in the day. Maybe it came out, maybe you could have, have it come out in '89, or, maybe after T2, because it's not like he did anything in 1992.
Yeah.
Right.
Before Last Action Hero, he could have easily done this movie.
Yeah.
He had a good look at that time too, like a really good. Like I could see it. I could see it. He was in really good shape at that time.
In 1992, if you still wanted to have Paul Verhoeven or Rennie Harlan directed, or somebody around that era, maybe since you mentioned The Rocketeer, maybe Joe Johnston. I don't know if it would have been out of his wheelhouse, but
what about John Woo? How about him?
Yeah, possibly.
He did that movie with Nicolas Cage. Was
Richard Donner.
Wind Talkers. Richard Donner, yes. Wind Talkers. He did. John Woo did that.
Maybe, but yeah, this is a very interesting discussion about this movie, Sergeant Rock, and it was definitely fun to go back and look at the history.
It was. Yeah, I found a lot of interesting stuff. Yes.
It's awesome to go, cause I know we had a Sergeant Rock one in the past that we looked at too, so it's awesome to go and just deep dive even further into this. And I can't wait to do the next ones because, it's like we joke about it and say it's the tip of the iceberg, but really, really it's the tip of the iceberg. There's so much, and you learn so many things in there that you have to double take. Like Stallone and Soldier and stuff like that. It's like, whoa! You see just how like Isaiah was saying before. You see just how connected these things actually were.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But I think that's it for Sergeant Rock. And once again, thank you guys for joining in.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Always. It's always fun.
And I want to thank you guys out there for listening. And have a good day.